Welcome to Air Checks. This episode and next episode is dedicated to the men and women that served our countries for Armistice Day, or what people in the USA call it as Veterans Day. If you are a veteran, thank you for serving. Soldiers of the Press is a war drama that was created in New York and syndicated by World Broadcasting System. Little is known about the series or the total number of episodes. Each episode is 15 minutes long and retold a recent news story from action during World War II. The series was narrated by United Press correspondents including Walter Cronkite, Harrison Salisbury, and many lesser knowns such as Ralph Teasdale and N. Stringer. The show was broadcast on war from February 28, 1943 until August 5, 1945 on Sundays at 12:30 p.m. There are at least 39 episodes in circulation out of the 148 known to exist. We're not going to play all of the episodes, but you can download the existing episodes from archive.org. Here is the second set for Of Soldiers of the Press.
Soldiers of the Press. This week, Dry Martini.
This is Reichsrundfunk, DJW Berlin speaking. We almost got the American bomber Ace Martini on Monday. We'll get him next time if he dares come back over Europe again.
Get a load of that fathead Heine.
That fat punk Goering, he and his whole Air Force are washed up, and yet they challenge us to come out and fight.
There's a dramatic story behind that Berlin radio challenge to the heroic crew of the Flying Fortress Dry Martini. It's a story that comes to us from United Press correspondent Walter Cronkite. Recently, you heard Cronkite's story of his own flight with a fortress bombing Wilhelmshaven. Cronkite is assigned to a Flying Fortress base somewhere in England, and he knows the men of the plane whose name is Dry Martini, and whose insignia is a brimming cocktail glass. This is the story of one of those men, told by United Press correspondent Walter Cronkite.
The crews that fly America's flying fortresses are among the best trained combat teams in the fighting forces. They're keen, alert, and every man knows his job like he'd been born for it. What's more, they're all swell guys, regular, fun-loving. Real American lads who have a grim and dangerous job to do and do it. And they ask nothing better than a chance to keep on carrying the fight to the enemy in the skies over Europe. Second Lieutenant Woody Clark is one of those guys. He's a navigator and a good one. His ship was the Dry Martini. I met him outside operations headquarters that Monday morning, just before the briefing began. A cold wind was sweeping across the field, and a fine rain was falling. Hiya, Woody.
What's good about it?
I didn't say anything was good about it. Matter of fact, I think it's a stinking morning. That make you feel any better?
Well, at least it's a realistic attitude.
Okay, we're realistic. So suppose you tell me the correct time.
Look, what's the matter, Cronkite? Can't you manage a watch that'll tell time on your expense account?
Hi, Woody.
Hey,
Hi,
what's
kid.
eating you this morning, anyway? All I asked for is the time. You act like I was asking you for the secret of the Norden bomb site.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I'm just on edge. Okay, get out that Waterbury of yours and we'll set it.
All right.
It's, hi, kids, 5:47 less 15 seconds. Less 10. Less 5. Got it?
Check. Thanks.
Okay.
You know, I don't blame you for being jumpy. I've only been up on one mission, and I'm not making this one, but I can't help getting butterflies every time.
Oh, it's not that exactly. I guess I'm sore at myself more than anything else.
What did you do? Buy a half interest in Buckingham Palace last trip to London?
No, I just haven't clipped any coupons off Goering Preferred in about a dozen trips out. I'm beginning to think I don't know how to use that pea shooter I got up there in the greenhouse.
So that's what's bothering you. You haven't claimed any German planes yet.
Yep, I guess that's it. Everyone else with a gun station aboard the Dry Martini's picked off at least one. Well, I'm beginning to feel self-conscious.
Now, isn't that too bad? No Fokker-Wulfs or Messerschmitts to your credit. Don't you consider it a bit of an accomplishment to bring that $750,000 kite home safe each time?
Well, I still want to claim an enemy plane. I'm going to do it this time, too, or I'm going to ask for service with a ground crew.
You'll nail one, Woody. I can feel it. We'll celebrate with an honest-to-God steak. Now, come on, snap out of it.
Thanks, Mother. I guess I'm just the moody type.
Come on, you guys. Pile in and look alive. Briefing's about to begin.
Come on, Cronkite. Let's go.
Right.
Okay, men. Pipe down and perk up. Now, as I told you last night, our objective is Paris in the spring. But there won't be any tra-la atmosphere about it. You all know the importance of this raid. It's a tough assignment. You know your plan of attack, and you've all had your instructions. So there's no need to go into that again. You'll have fighter protection going out to the limit of their range. And they'll pick you up at the same approximate point on your return. Intelligence reports there isn't much flak over Paris, but Goering's boys will throw the book at you coming back.
Question. What about these fragmentation bombs the German fighter planes have been using against fortresses?
They may employ them again. Probably will. But experience indicates they're no more effective than ack-ack fire. If one explodes near you, it's bad. But your principal worry will be the enemy fighter. You'll take off...
As the briefing continued, covering point-by-point instructions, I made notes like the pilots and crews. The information available at a briefing is mighty valuable when you start writing your story of the raid. I could see Woody grimly scribbling on his pad. I could tell he was still tense and sore. The target for the day was the big Renault plant near Paris, used by the Germans as an aircraft engine factory. The promise of heavy opposition from enemy pursuits indicated that Woody would have ample opportunity to try for the scalp of one of Goering's boys. The briefing lasted more than half an hour before the wing commander said,
That's all, unless there are other questions. Very well, then. School's out. Go on out and turn them over. And drop those bombs right down the smokestacks.
Goodbye, Woody, and good luck. I'll have that steak waiting for you, so do your stuff.
Okay, I like 'em rare and 2 inches thick.
As the crews piled into the waiting trucks that would take them to their planes, I made my way to the bomber wing headquarters. It was raining, and I wiped the moisture from the window that overlooked the field. The planes were taxiing onto the runways. I could see their green and red recognition lights dimly through the fog. One by one, I could see them race down the runway. Then the first one zoomed directly overhead and faded into the dawn. They came over in rapid succession after that. Their motors blended into a continuous roar that died away gradually. The dry martini was on her way, with Woody up there in the greenhouse, busy with his charts and instruments. There was nothing to do now but wait. I walked back to the operations office. All off on time, Hap?
Yeah, take off smooth as clockwork.
What time they due over the target?
0820.
Mind if I park myself here and keep an eye on the show?
Of course not. Pull up a chair, make yourself comfortable. It's a long wait.
The operations office is the heart of a bomber base. In it, intelligence and operations officers lay out the objectives and plot the flights. Over its battery of phones, reports come in from the aircraft spotters on the movements of planes, our own and the enemy. And through it move all the reports on every mission. Across one end of the room spreads a huge map, and on it, big black-headed pins mark the position of every bomber in the squadron. Every 15 minutes, the time is called off, and the pins are moved into new positions.
Time 7:15. Map reference H3207.
They're out over the channel now and high upstairs, 30,000 feet in the frigid thin air of the substratosphere. I listen to the reports come in and watch the black pins edging toward the target. They pass Boulogne, Abbeville, Amiens, Saint-Denis.
Time 0810. Map reference Q4360.
They're 10 minutes from the target now. Up in the glassed-in nose of the bomber, it's time for Woody to put aside the charts and get set behind that pea shooter of his. For it's a cinch to be tough from here on. I stick around until the pins are directly over Paris. I go outside for a smoke and a cup of coffee and try to relax. The hands of my watch seem to crawl. But I know they're on their way back now, and I keep wondering if Woody is having any luck against Goering's boys. At 10 a.m., I duck into operations. Hello, Hap. How's it going?
Fighter escort took off half an hour ago to meet him. We should be hearing from him any time now.
That'll be a relief. You know, in some ways, it's tougher staying behind than it is being up there. You can dream up too many things here. Up there, you're too busy to do much thinking about anything but essential business.
Yeah, I know.
Hello? Yes? Yes? Okay. Got it. Spotter reports a large flight of 4 motored bombers identified as fortresses just crossed the coast. They're coming home.
The ground crews are heading out to the field now, and the runways are being cleared for landing. I begin to feel better.
About time for them to be checking with the tower.
Blue leader to blue leader control tower. Blue leader to blue leader control tower. Come in. Come in, please. Blue tower here. Hello, blue leader. Go ahead, please. Over. Blue squadron requests permission to land. Over. Blue leader from tower. Okay to land. Using number 1, 3, and 4 runways. Wind is west, 16 miles. You bringing them all home? No, sorry, no such luck. Army 29041 dropped out of formation. She had one motor afire and reported she couldn't keep up. Off.
Army 29041. I look at the operations chart, and my heart skips a beat. Army 29041 is the Dry Martini. The planes are coming in now. Their motors a distant rumble. It grows larger, and then they're visible. The sun has come through, and you can see its dull reflection on the green-gray of their wings. We watch them land and see the pilots and crews getting the kinks out of their legs as they head for the briefing room to make out the reports. But I keep thinking of the Dry Martini. Out there somewhere trying to horse it in with one motor gun.
Time 1030. All planes except Army 29041 down safely.
Anything from the spotters?
No, not a thing.
We sit silent and tense now and watch the clock. The sweep second hand on the clock in front of Hap seems to creep around the dial.
Blue control tower to Army 29041. Blue control tower to Army 29041. Can you hear me? Come in. Come in. Come in.
No answer.
Yep. Looks bad. I was talking to Woody Clark before they took off this morning. He was down because he hadn't claimed an enemy plane. I hope he got one.
Yeah, I hope he did.
Promised a mistake if he did. Guess I'd better go start lining it up. They're not easy to produce.
Yeah, takes some doing.
Blue leader control tower from Army 29041.
Boy, is that
Blue
good
leader
news.
control tower from Army 29041. Acknowledge. Over. Tower here. Hello, Army 29041. We'd begun to think you'd washed out. Over. No, we're going to make it. Coming in for a landing. Request your instructions. Over. Army 29041 from tower. Okay to land. Number 2 runway is cleared to land. Any wounded aboard? Nothing we can't walk away. But you better have an ambulance on hand. We got a left wing like a sieve and one motor's conked out. I may mess things up a bit in landing. Over and off. Okay, Army 29041. Here's luck. Off.
I dashed for the door and hopped aboard the ambulance that was heading for runway number 2. She was coming in now. From the ground, we could see the smoke pouring from one motor and holes the size of a wash tub through her tail surfaces. She wobbled as she came down. Her wheels touched. She lurched uncertainly. Then she righted herself and jolted to a stop. I looked at the nose. The windows in Woody's greenhouse were shot out. The pilot's windshield was shattered. The glass was gone from the tail. The cowling of 2 of the good motors was riddled. Then the crew began piling out.
Sorry, Doc. No business for you.
Yeah, Doc, you can roll that butcher wagon back in the barn.
Well, that's the way we like it.
Had a tough time?
Yeah, but a good one. We got 12 planes, Doc.
Well, how do you like that? 12 planes.
Lieutenant Clark rates top score. He got 3.
Woody got 3. Man. Then I saw him poking his head through the hatch. His face was cut a bit from flying glass, but he was grinning.
Oh, Cronkite, got that steak ready?
Brother, you sure rate it. What came over you, anyhow?
Oh, they made me mad, I guess. They put 2 explosive caliber 30s right through the nose.
Yeah, I noticed.
Pieces of metal bounced off my steel helmet. They didn't hurt either me or the bombardier. Bullet hit my gun mount. Then I really began shooting. The next Focke-Wulf that came in, I knocked off his propeller. The next one I got right in the middle of his gas tank, and he blew up. And then a third one came in, and somehow or other I just cut off his tail. You know, I cut it right off.
Brother.
I guess, I went sour after that. I missed the 4th one.
Yeah? Oh, isn't that too bad? Well, do you want to stand around and cry about it? Or shall we go and get that steak?
At the bomber bases, aboard our warships, and on the front lines with the ground forces, United Press correspondents are gathering the news, the colorful, exciting stories of United Nations fighting men in action. Be sure to hear the next program of Soldiers of the Press over this same station. Your local announcer will give you the time of that broadcast in just a moment. And meanwhile, remember to listen for United Press news on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news. Soldiers of the Press. This week, Atlantic Convoy.
Let her go, Mac. Last swing load coming aboard. Take her away. Easy with that stuff, boys. All right, bosun. Now close the hatches. Turn to the gangs, fore and aft.
Aye, aye, sir.
Dog down all hatches. Gangs, fore and aft, turn to. Hatches being secured, sir. Standing by to cast off.
Fine, MacDonald. We've clearance for 1630. We'll be underway in half an hour, engineer.
Right, sir. Anytime you say.
So, at an East Coast port, another ship loaded with life for American troops and their allies, with death for the Axis, moves out to cast anchor in the harbor. She is ready now for the formation of her convoy and the boarding of her passengers. Among them are two United Press correspondents, Robert Vermillion and R.W. Richards. Both are bound for assignments in UP's London Bureau. This is their story of their voyage through the sea lanes of the Atlantic, where Hitler's wolf packs of submarines seek to curb the flow of the weapons of war to Britain, Russia, North Africa. An eyewitness account by correspondents Robert Vermillion and R.W. Richards of one convoy's battle with the U-boats. A vivid picture from their UP dispatches of the sort of thing that happens unchronicled almost any day or night somewhere in the Atlantic.
Have passports and credentials ready. Have them in order for the immigration officer. Have them ready, please.
Yes, all right, sir. You're next. Bound for the United Kingdom?
Yes, sir.
May I see your credentials, please?
Here they are, sir. All in order, I believe.
Let's see now. You're Robert Vermillion?
That's right. I know you wouldn't believe it from the passport photograph, but I'm Vermillion of United Press, bound for London.
London, or wherever else they see fit to set you down, sir. Okay, you're all set. All right. You're next.
Here you are, sir. Robert William Richards, United Press correspondent, also bound for London.
Uh-huh. Passport in order. Credentials in order. Exit permit in order. Okay. You're both for launch D. I'll be right with you. All right, now. Who's next?
Right here, sir. James Judson for Cairo, via London.
Passengers for ship 2049. Launch D is standing by on Pier 4.
The sun had just given way to twilight as we set out from the dock for ship 2049. The faces of our fellow passengers were shadowed, and their voices were hushed in the strangeness of this departure for an uncertain voyage. There were 6 women and 15 men, including ourselves. Several looked as if they had made the convoy trip before, but for the majority, this was a maiden voyage. And most of us still cherished peacetime visions of an Atlantic crossing.
I used to think it'd be the Queen Mary or nothing that'd take me to London, with a band playing and a few thousand people to see me off.
Yeah, personally, I'm going to miss the champagne.
Well, Bob, here's our ocean liner. How's she look?
I'll take their word she'll make it across, but at first glance, I'm convinced she's no luxury liner.
You can say that again.
We scrambled up a ladder to board her, and 2 hours later, in the pitch darkness of a cloudy night, we slipped out of the harbor to join our convoy. Next morning, ship 2049 had become one of a great parade of freighters, tankers, and naval escort vessels that spread over a wide expanse of sea. It was an inspiring sight, and the busy little corvettes and destroyers nosing ahead, at the flanks, and behind our convoy gave us a comforting feeling of security. For several days, we pushed ahead without incident. Nights, we would gather in the bar to while away time.
Well, this business of sitting around in a blacked-out ship every night is getting on my nerves.
Mine, too. No, I can't help it, but I keep feeling as if we're sitting on a powder keg.
Maybe we are. Anybody know what cargoes we're carrying?
I don't.
One of the sailors told me a destroyer sighted a sub this afternoon.
That's right. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. We must be just about...
Come on, cut it out.
Huh?
I think we'd all feel better over a few hands of poker.
Yeah, I think you're right, Richards. Well, trot out that spongy deck of cards and let's get going.
Okay. Let's make this a real poker player's hand. 5-card draw and nothing wild. All right, everybody, come on, Andy.
Okay, everybody in? Now, look, Richards, couldn't you manage to give me openers at least? The kind of cards I've been getting lately, Hitler wouldn't deal to Mussolini.
Wait a minute. I thought I heard something. An explosion out there somewhere.
I didn't hear anything. Well, come on, Richards, deal. Let's get going.
You know, it's just too quiet this trip to suit me. Last time
I know. Last time across, you were torpedoed. Look, can't we drop the gloom and play the hand? Anybody got openers?
By me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. Well, this is a fine assortment of cardboard. I pass.
I'll open for 2 bits. What do you think of that, openers?
Lucky you. They just bumped one.
They've what?
They bumped one. A torpedo just hit one of the ships.
Oh, I see.
Just my luck, and it's the first good hand I've had this trip.
Okay, everybody put on your life jackets. We'll go into the salon. You'll be more comfortable there.
Everybody leave your hands just where they are.
And there go the depth charges. We sat on the floor of the salon because it's the most comfortable place aboard a constantly pitching ship. We sweated because we were scared, and because all of us had put on as many warm clothes as we had, just in case. There was a submarine out there somewhere in the darkness. A submarine and at least one sinking ship. The depth charges of our escort vessels were churning the ocean in search of the marauders, and every blast shook our ship. There was a U-boat out there. And if you've never felt the impact of a torpedo, each depth charge might as well be it. And if you've never heard a depth charge before, you don't know just how close to your ship they're hunting that stuff.
Sounds like those charges are moving closer.
Any idea how far off they're dropping those ash cans?
Oh, I'd guess something like 1,500 yards off our port bow. The time I was torpedoed, the sub came up between us and our escort. Torpedo hit us amidships, and our ship was down within 10 minutes.
That's a comforting thought.
Sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to make it worse. Just can't help thinking about it, though.
Sure, I know. I'm just jumpy. Forget it.
Matter of fact, we ought to be pretty safe. After all, the odds should be against my having to swim in this damn ocean twice in 2 trips out, huh?
Yeah, that makes me feel very safe. Glad to have you aboard, Judson.
Oh, I wish I was in Kansas where it's dry.
Oh, I wish I was in Kansas where it's dry. For I've got an awful notion
We huddled together in the ship's salon until nearly dawn, singing to keep our spirits up and tired, but too tense to sleep. It was nearly 4 a.m. before the captain sent down word that the danger had passed and that we could go to our cabins. We managed a little sleep after that, but awakened to find that the battle had only begun. At midday, the dull boom of the depth charges began again.
That sounded sort of close, Bob.
Now, here we go again. Let's go topside.
I'm right with you.
We raced up on deck. In the brilliant sunlight, the sub's victim lay nearby. Smoke was pouring from her side. We stood silent beside the bosun of our ship. Across the narrow expanse of water that separated us from the sinking ship, we could hear her crew preparing to abandon ship, and we could see them swinging lifeboats over the side.
Corvettes nail that damned sub.
Boy, he didn't miss having our number very much, did he?
No, sir. That bloody U-boat came into the very middle of the convoy. That's pretty nervy, you know. Looks like we got a pack of them following us.
And that's the way it went, day and night. Alarm after alarm. Sometimes no subs were sighted. Frequently, our convoy escaped unharmed. But it was wearing on the nerves. The weary crew of our ship had been almost sleepless since the attacks began. And several passengers volunteered to stand relief watches. That's how I happened to be topside the morning we nearly got ours.
How you feeling, Vermilion? These early hours agree with you?
Well, as a kid, I used to get up this early to hunt ducks. Our game's bigger here, so I guess I can keep awake. What time is it, anyhow?
Nearly 2 bells. 5 o'clock. 1 hour of your watch is done.
Barometer's falling slightly, sir. Diurnal fall normal. Wind force 4 and rising. Looks like we may be in for a blow.
Very well, Mr. McDonald. Well, Vermilion, if the sea gets rough enough, the subs won't be so active.
And I'll probably be seasick. But I vote for that heavy blow. Hey, what's that?
That's a starship. The destroyer off our starboard quarters got something.
We strained our eyes in the half-light, trying to see the cause of the alarm. The gong alerted the ship, and the gun crews scrambled to their stations. Suddenly, the tanker to port opened fire directly at us. Orange tracers bounced across the water directly ahead of us. Some ricocheted against the sides of our ship.
Hey, what in the hell?
Torpedoes! Hard right, Ronald! Train those guns to starboard! Gun position! Free the bridge!
There they are!
Torpedo wake to starboard! Correction! 2 torpedo tracks off starboard bow!
Follow him!
I could see them now, 2 thin white wakes in the gray sea. They were less than 1,000 yards off, bearing straight for us. I watched in horrified fascination as the tanker fired across our bow, and our own gun splattered the water with lead in an attempt to explode the deadly tinfish before they caught us. Our ship seemed to be turning in slow motion. Suddenly, the ocean erupted into a great geyser of water. I was half thrown to the deck. My first impression was that we'd been hit.
They got one! The tanker got one!
Second torpedo, clear of port bow. Gun bearing, port. Get it!
I could have spit on that one as it went by.
That second torpedo missed us by inches, but our guns were still pouring a stream of tracers after it. For now it was the tanker to port that was threatened.
Get her! You got her!
Nice shooting!
Oh, that was too close for comfort. I still got to pinch myself to believe I'm all in one piece.
We're all right, Vermilion. Now it's the sub that'll have to worry. That corvette's run up the black flag.
Yeah, what's that mean?
Direct contact with the submarine.
Brother, I don't envy the guys aboard that pig boat.
Great fountains of water shot skyward as the little ship started laying her pattern of death charges. It was a satisfying sight to watch from the bridge. We knew the U-boat was diving now, racing for its life. But the corvette couldn't be shaken this time. I remembered how we felt that first night in the salon, boxed in and waiting. Now it was some Oberleutnant and his Unter-Nazis who were quaking in their ersatz boots and getting a taste of their own medicine. There were no more submarine attacks after that.
United Press correspondents are covering the day-to-day developments of war on land, at sea, and in the skies. They face daily risks beside our fighting men to gather the colorful stories behind the communiques. Be sure to listen to the next of these programs describing the experiences of these men of UP. And meanwhile, listen for United Press News on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news. Soldiers of the press. This week, night patrol.
Stand right, boy.
I'm standing.
Advance and make yourself known.
I'm Clinton B. Conger of United Press. Here are my credentials.
What's your business here, Mr. Conger?
Well, I don't know. The Admiralty informed me this afternoon that if I came down here tonight, the boys would see to it that I had an interesting time. I was told to say strawberry control.
Yes, sir. I think you'll have an interesting time, all right. Would you mind signing this, please, sir?
United Press staff correspondent Clinton B. Conger signed a waiver releasing the British government from responsibility in case of injury or death. Then he was taken down deep into a great concrete structure along the waterfront. Thus began one of the many exciting adventures of United Press staff correspondents who bring you eyewitness accounts of world news as it happens. Listen to Clinton B. Conger's story of Night Patrol.
Here you are, sir.
Welcome to Misery Hall, Clint. Hiya, Fraser. Hey, what's the pitch here? Where are we headed for? Holland. Oh, I don't want to go to Holland. They've got Germans there.
Well, that's just where we're going, just the same.
promised me an interesting time, but that's apt to be just a little too interesting. How are we getting to Holland, if I may ask?
Motor torpedo boats. You know, we call them PT boats back home.
Oh, murder. I get seasick as a dog just looking at a bowl of goldfish. I should have stood in bed.
You should.
I griped loudly and fervently, but just the same, I was pretty excited about the whole thing. I was going to get my first ride on one of Britain's highly secret patrol boats that sweep across the English Channel nightly to disrupt German shipping. As I stood talking with other correspondents in the underground dock, I became increasingly certain of one thing. Before the night was out, a whole mess of Germans probably would be taking pot shots at me. I anticipated the prospect with what might be called mixed emotions. After a half hour or so, the door opened again, and a Navy officer came in. He was carrying a hat.
Good evening, gentlemen. I have a hat full of numbers here. Each of you will please draw one.
What's the idea?
The numbers will determine which of the patrol boats each of you is to accompany. Will you draw, please?
One by one, we drew folded slips of paper out of the hat. I picked number 1, the first boat. That meant I'd be in a position to see all of the action. But it also meant I'd be in the boat that the Germans would likely concentrate their fire upon. My shirt suddenly became very tight around my neck.
Who has drawn the first boat?
I did.
Lucky Conger, Mr. Conger.
Will you come this way, Mr. Conger?
Go right to your boss and tell him how it happened, Clint.
Thanks, you lout. I followed the British naval officer from the underground chart room into what at first appeared to be a storeroom of some kind. It was pitch black. It smelled of gasoline. As my eyes became accustomed to the dim light, I gradually made out the outlines of one of the British Hornets, which is what they call their PT boats. We went aboard the 80-foot craft. It vibrated gently underfoot from the throbbing of its 3 great motors. The young ensign met us on the wing of the bridge.
Mr. Selfridge, this is Clinton Conger of United Press.
Very happy to know you, Mr. Conger. Glad to have you aboard.
I'll let you know later whether I'm glad I came or not.
Well, I think I'll leave you now, Mr. Conger. You're in good hands. I'll see you when you get back.
That sounds encouraging. I'll see you later.
We're about to shove off, Mr. Conger. I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to go down below until we're seen. All this is very hush-hush stuff, you know. Sorry and all that, but there isn't any alternative.
I understand. Which way do I go?
Evans, take Mr. Conger below and see that he's comfortable.
I followed a seaman down through a narrow folding hatch that evidently was closed off during rough weather, and then down another short ladder into the crew's quarters. The seaman left me there, and I sat down, thought about life and things, about how many bullets there are flying around loose in the world that a man can get in the way of.
Cast off, forward and aft. Take in 1 and 2. Taking in 1, taking in 2. All clear, stand by. Take stations for getting underway.
The thin hull of the torpedo boat vibrated a trifle more, and I could faintly sense that we were moving. From time to time, I could hear orders being shouted overhead. Evidently, something was being done about a huge door. I hadn't the least idea of where we were, or how we were going to get out to sea, and I still don't know. All I know is that after a half hour or so, the boat began pitching and tossing heavily, and I heard the officer barking,
All hands put on your May Wests. Man battle stations.
So I put on the life preserver that the seaman had given me, and I tried to make myself as comfortable as possible on that narrow bunk. After a while, the motion of the boat and the humming of the engines lulled me to sleep.
Mr. Conger! Mr. Conger!
An hour or so later, the seaman wakened me, and I went up on deck with him. It was dark now, and I could barely see the other boats in the formation lined up behind us. I went up on the flying bridge.
Did you have a good nap, Mr. Conger?
Yeah. Any excitement?
No, not yet. I thought I might as well let you sleep on the way out. Pretty dull, really. But we're getting close now. Another hour or so, we'll be in the thick of it, I shouldn't wonder.
Not too thick, I hope.
Well, they told us to give you fellas a good show, so we're going a bit further in than usual. We're quite likely to have a first-rate rumpus.
That'll be nice.
Excuse me. Quartermaster, tell the engineer to stand by for emergency changes of speed.
Aye, aye, Club.
I watched while the quartermaster crawled aft along the narrow deck to the engine room, where he opened a little hatchway in the deck. Then a head appeared in the opening. The quartermaster shouted into the ear of the engineer. He grinned, nodded, and then disappeared. I asked Selfridge about the engine room. It seemed awfully small from where we were standing.
It is small. Chaps have to crawl around on their hands and knees down there.
Oh, there's more than one?
Oh, quite. 2 men, 3 engines. Dreadfully bad job, that. I should like to have it. Wear plugs in one's ears all the time, you know. Go deaf otherwise. Engines kick up a horrible fuss when we hit top speed.
You mean we aren't going top speed now?
Heavens, no. Only about half. We can make 70 knots, you know.
I didn't know. But 70 knots is a healthy 80 miles an hour. I had a sudden great respect for these boats and for the men who run them. As we raced for the Dutch coast, I looked the boat over from end to end, hanging for dear life to a railing thoughtfully provided for that purpose. The forward end of the boat was high out of the water now. The stern was dug down deep as the propellers screwed into the sea. Everywhere I looked, there were machine guns and torpedo tubes. At the ensign's elbow was a small deck gun. Altogether, this was the most deadly-looking weapon of war I'd ever seen. And I was on it, hurtling at top speed toward German-occupied Holland.
Throttle down.
Throttle down.
Just go carefully now, Mr. Conger. Minefields all around us.
Minefields? Ours or theirs?
Theirs.
Oh, we must be getting close.
I should say so. We're practically there, actually. The coast is a mile and a half off in that direction.
I looked where he pointed, expecting the blackness to open up with the flash of gunfire. But nothing happened. I couldn't see a thing. Then Selfridge ordered the engines muffled, and an amazing quiet descended on our fleet. I was vaguely disappointed. I'd expected great things and a terrific amount of gunplay. Instead, we cruised up and down the Dutch coast as though we were in a lake back home. Seemingly, we owned the entire English Channel, and no one was in a mood to argue with us about it. Hours went by. I was on the verge of going below and returning to the arms of Morpheus when Selfridge spoke.
Aha.
I beg your pardon?
I said aha.
Yes, but why?
Business. A convoy. Jerry's.
Where?
There.
I couldn't see a thing. I was about to tell Selfridge I thought he was imagining things when the night cracked wide open with a blaze of light. The Germans turned a searchlight on us.
Take off mufflers. Full speed. All right, rudder. Hang on, Mr. Conger.
I hung on. The torpedo boat almost leaped out from under us as the engines opened up. Then we twisted around in a complete circle faster than I can tell you about it. The searchlight tried to follow us, but couldn't. Then the whole fleet of torpedo boats dashed off in all directions. Selfridge grabbed his microphone.
Hello? Come in, Strawberry. All for Orange, calling Strawberry. Come in, please.
Hello, Jack. Strawberry here.
Good boy, Tom. I think we have them rattled. You go left, I'll go right. We'll come in behind them. Is that understood? Over to you.
Yes, I understand, Orange. See you later. Over and off.
We raced through the darkness at full speed. I kept thinking about those minefields all around us, but evidently Selfridge didn't worry about them because we never slackened speed until we were on the other side of the German convoy. Then the mufflers were put on the motors again, and we crept slowly in towards the enemy ships. Everybody was tense and quiet. And then, dimly at first, I saw a large shape looming up ahead of us. An enemy ship.
Stand by to fire torpedoes.
Standing by, sir.
Stand by all guns and train on target.
Standing by, sir.
Quietly, we edged toward the German ship. She was about a mile away when we first saw her. We'd covered about half the distance when a blinker light flashed at us from her bow.
They're challenging us, sir.
Answer them.
What shall I say, sir? I don't know their code.
Send anything. Just keep their minds occupied a few seconds longer until we can get in range.
Aye, aye, sir.
The quartermaster picked up a blinker tube and flashed an answer to the German ship, which had questioned our identity. Meanwhile, we crept closer and closer. Then the guns on the German ship erupted into flame, and the night was filled with whining billets.
Open mufflers, full speed. Steer collision course. All guns fire.
Now our boat leaped through the water again, directly at the German ship, right into the teeth of our machine guns and 3-inch shells. I ducked down below the bridge and stayed there, crouched behind the bulkhead. Occasionally, I stuck my head up for a look. The enemy ship was really a small one, but she looked bigger than a battleship from where I sat. I felt acutely unhappy, especially so since we were steering directly for the enemy ship and going like a bat out of Brooklyn.
Stand by forward torpedoes. Standing by.
Selfridge stood up with the tracers whistling around him and kept his eyes on the enemy ship. I was content to keep my eyes on Selfridge.
All right, watch it now. I'm going to fire. Fire one. Fire two. Left rudder. Let's get out of here. Break your sticks going by.
Dropped our torpedoes and heeled over to get out of their way. I learned afterwards we went right by the torpedoes and kept on going past the German ship. I wasn't watching. I was huddled behind the comforting protection of the bulkhead. A few seconds after we heeled over and raced away, the whole sky seemed to fall in on us.
Got him! Did you see that, Mr. Conger? We got him!
I thought for a second he got us, but I wasn't going to say so. I got up off my hands and knees. Selfridge helped me up.
Did you fall, Mr. Conger?
No, I dropped my handkerchief when those bullets started whistling by. It's a nice bulkhead you got there.
Yes, quite. Be much nicer, however, if it were armor plate.
Isn't it?
Afraid not. It's just plywood. You can spit through it.
I think I'll go lie down. quite an adventure. Several heavy German escort vessels came out after us, and we decided to call it a night, for which I was duly grateful. On our way back to England, the ensign apologized to me for not having been able to show us more excitement. I accepted his apology.
You have been listening to United Press correspondent Clinton B. Conger's story of his experiences as a reporter aboard one of the lightning-fast British motor torpedo boats that patrol the English Channel. Conger is one of a worldwide staff of United Press correspondents who are eyewitnesses to events that are news. We will bring you another program dramatizing the experiences of these men of UP in the near future. Your local announcer will give you the time of that broadcast in just a moment. Be sure to listen. And meanwhile, listen for United Press News on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news.
Soldiers of the press. This week, torpedo.
Captain, sir. Yes, what is it? It's control, sir. They've spotted something. Oh, yes? What? The rangefinder's picked up 2 unidentified planes, sir. Left of convoy, angle of elevation 5 degrees. Very well. Tell the guns to stand by. Aye, aye, sir. Stand by, gun stations. Ranges and speed of those planes. Aye, aye, sir. Ranges and speed of those planes.
Am I in the way, Captain?
Oh, not at all, Palmer. You better stay close. Looks as if a story might be coming up. Visitors dropping in.
Friends, I hope.
Too soon to tell yet. Signalmen order convoy to scatter.
Aye, aye, sir. Planes still unidentified, but have German characteristics.
Sound general quarters.
All guns standing by, sir.
Very well. Range? Range, aye. Report range.
Range, 10,000 yards. Altitude, 15,000 feet. Speed, 220.
Commence tracking. Commence tracking.
Range, 5,000 yards. Speed, 230. Planes are German.
Action stations.
Range, 3,000 yards. 4,000 yards. 5,000 yards.
What's that? Oh, look at that now, sir. They're running away.
yards.
The Jerrys are running away.
7,000 yards.
I'll be damned.
8,000
False alarm.
yards.
Not torpedo planes at all. Ju-52s probably taking Germans to Italy. No story for you this time, Palmer.
Another time, perhaps.
I hope not, my boy. I hope not. Secure from general quarters. Secure from general quarters. Secure from general quarters.
During the past months, we have brought you many stories by correspondents of the United Press. A plane crashed in northern Burma, and UP flashed you the story. A UP correspondent managed to slip across the Swiss border into German-held Italy, and you walked with him into Como. In short, United Press correspondents have been in almost every conceivable kind of action, from a foxhole outside Munda to a giant bomber over Rome. And in every case, you have been given a first-hand account of what took place. This time we have a different story to tell, a story filed by George Palmer of the United Press. This is a story of how it feels to be aboard a convoy ship, and of how it feels to be torpedoed.
How does it feel to be torpedoed? Well, in the first place, you don't believe you have caught a fish. That's what they call being torpedoed, catching a fish. You're sure you've hit an iceberg, only it's too hot for icebergs. Well, anyway, you run. You run for the part of the ship that's sticking farthest out of the water. In this case, it was the starboard side that was high. It happened like this. Our cruiser was speeding through a choppy sea, and in the frightening grayness that covered us, I stood talking to the surgeon commander, an old friend of mine. This night he seemed nervous, almost as if he was expecting, I don't know, he was very nervous.
I'm what?
Nervous. I said you were nervous.
I? Why, this trip is nothing. Last time I was on a convoy going to Malta, and... What's that out there? Cruiser?
Over there? Well, looks like a destroyer.
Then it's a cruiser. Been painted, camouflage. Dark out, isn't it?
Yeah. Wish it was dawn.
It's barely dusk.
Yeah, I know. Wish it was dawn.
So do I, George.
When we had that false alarm before, I was sure those 2 German torpedo planes and... You know, I'd like a cigarette right now.
Can't smoke on deck, you know. We blacked out.
Yeah, I know. I had to go down to my bunk to get one, but... No, I'll skip it.
What were you going to say?
Well, sounds kind of stupid, but you see, there's a certain spot of paint in the wall of my cabin. Well, I keep thinking somebody's going to stick a torpedo right through that spot. Sounds stupid, doesn't it?
Stupid? Not at all. Every man thinks of something like that when he's in danger, George. Every man. Oh, but this trip is fine. Fine. The last convoy operation I was on was known by the code word vigorous. And it was, too. We were attacked repeatedly by hundreds of German bombers. Well, that one was vigorous, all right. I was just saying to the captain today that since it had lived up to its name so well, perhaps we should call this trip serene.
Yeah, it has been serene, all right. No trouble at all. No trouble at all. And that's when we caught the fish. As I said before, I dashed uphill, for the higher up you go, the better when you hit icebergs you know aren't there. Then there was noise, and I became aware of sickening smells, vile smells, frightening sounds, the shouts of men, wounded men, and the steady cracking of our pom-poms. I grabbed the cable that rimmed the deck, felt the grease in my hand, and looked down into the swirling back sea. Thick smoke belched out from our starboard bows, and I saw great gushes of orange flame lighting up the sea. Between the spits of fire, the sea was black and greasy, and I kept looking into the sea and thinking about how glad I was I could swim. Swim. We're enlisting badly now, and the smoke is thicker than ever. Now a solid block of men pushed toward me along the deck. I called to them, "Hey, come on, we got to swim for it. Come on, let's go." Nobody heard me. So I put one leg over the rail and kind of talked to myself. "Jump out far," I said. "Jump away from the ship, and don't forget to hold your life belt with one hand so it won't come up and smack you in the chin. And you got to swim like hell. Come on, boy. You can do it. Ready now. Jump."
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Huh?
It'd be rather lonely down there, all by yourself.
Leaning against a rail, nice and calm, was a young officer. I looked at him. So calm he was. Well, how about it? Are we going in?
Hell no. Nobody goes over until the captain says so.
The steadiness of his voice was pretty reassuring. I pulled my leg back onto the deck. What was it, submarine?
One airplane.
Darned. Thought it was a sub.
No, a torpedo plane. No one knew he was up there.
Holy cow.
Quite. He got away.
Things were quieting down a bit now. We pulled ourselves together. The damage control party was already hard at work fighting fire and dragging bodies out of the mess where the torpedo struck. I went below to help carry blankets to the quarterdeck. Up there, some of the casualties were moaning. Some were crying hysterically. And one to whom I gave cigarettes.
Look, mate, do me a favor, will you? Tell Margaret, her name is Anna. Tell her to write to me. I haven't got any letters from her, and she'd ought to write. Tell her that, will you? Tell her to write to me.
The boy died. There on the deck. Many boys died that night. Among them, my friend, the surgeon commander. And hundreds of men were injured. The captain was badly injured, but nevertheless was hard at work. He was barking orders to a group of men, explaining how they were to steer the ship with their voices. You see, all our steering apparatus had been destroyed by the fire, but it was still possible to steer the ship by hand. And that was what the captain was telling me.
All right. Have you got that? As soon as the destroyer sends a signal, the lieutenant will pick it up and call it to you, Jones. You, in turn, will call it to the seaman stationed amidships. He will shout it to you, Anderson. You will call it down the hatch. Lieutenant.
Yes, sir?
I want you to pick out 3 of the huskiest men on the ship.
Yes, sir. Smith, Dunbar, right. Here they are, Captain.
Thank you. You 3 men, I'm asking you to go down below and steer us home with your hands.
How will we know the course, sir?
The destroyer is standing by us. They'll signal the course by Lucas' lamp. The lieutenant will pick it up and relay it to the next man, and so on. You'll get the course by relays, then it'll be up to you. Can you do it?
Sure we can do it, sir. Come on, boys.
And that's how it was done. The explosion and flames had destroyed the wheelhouse and all our steering apparatus. But those 3 men went down below the quarterdeck, deep down to where the massive machinery which turns the rudder was housed. And there they waited for the signal. Has it come yet, Lieutenant?
No, not yet. Wait a minute. No. Yes, there it is. Left to base course.
Left to base course, 062. Left to base course, 062. Left to base course, 062. Left to base course. Steady on base course. Steady as she goes. Steady as she goes. Steady as she goes.
And all night long, orders were shouted out to those 3 sweating men who were steering the fire-racked ship with their hands. Meanwhile, the men forward had managed to put the fires out, and somehow they shifted the ballast enough so that the list of the ship was imperceptible. And so, painfully, slowly, we crawled into port, safe. Well, that's a story. But that isn't all of it. What about the incredibly horrible experience every man on board went through? The things we saw. Things we can't forget. The sight of brave, grown men screaming for their mothers and sweethearts as they died. And above all, one incident stands out most vividly in my mind. 2 hours after we were hit, the chaplain who did magnificent work attending the dying men grew tired and relaxed for a moment. We stood there in the cool wind, watching the sea. The chaplain, pondering over the 160 men who had died, the many others who were seriously burned, and the hundreds aboard who were dog-tired and sick at heart, looked about him at the flame-skied warship. And he looked up at the sky, up at the moon amongst the broken clouds. Looked upward for a full minute. Then he turned to me and said,
"And to think that one man, just one man, up there in the machine, did all this."
Thousands of other United Press correspondents like George Palmer are sharing the dangers of frontline action with our boys from the Mediterranean to the South Pacific. Every day, these UP soldiers of the press send dispatches to the home front, telling the tales of daily heroism which make for final victory. So be sure to look for United Press news in your favorite newspaper and to listen for United Press dispatches on the air. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news.
Soldiers of the press. This week, Kiska Mission.
All 500. All 500. Course 042. Ease off. Ease off. Control to signal bridge. Control to signal bridge.
Signal bridge, aye.
Time check.
Time check, aye, aye, sir. 054 500. Less 15. Less 10. Less 5. Check. Time check over.
By 5:45 on the morning of a sultry day in August, the final phase of the American invasion of the island of Kiska had begun. Canadian and American troops by the thousands lined the sides of ships, ready to leap aboard landing craft and swarm ashore at Broad Beach, Bamboo Bay, Quisling Cove. The greatest armada of naval vessels ever assembled in the war against Japan carried the load of fighting men and ammunition to this last Jap stronghold in the Aleutians. Slowly and steadily, the mighty fleet approached the island. On board one of the troop transports was Russell Annabelle, United Press staff correspondent. Annabelle, like all other United Press men on the fighting fronts, was to go into battle unarmed, unprotected. His job was to get an eyewitness account of that battle. And here it is, the story of the Allied invasion of Kiska by United Press correspondent Russell Annabelle.
Mr. Annabelle, Russell Annabelle.
Yes, Lieutenant. Over here.
You've been assigned to Major Walker's patrol, sir. I think you'd better join him now.
Sure, of course. Which way, Lieutenant?
This way. Over this way.
I followed the lieutenant over to the side of the ship, where a fair-sized group of men were standing, huddled together. All around us were similar groups. It was a weird scene. The men had smeared camouflage paint all over their faces. They looked like actors waiting for the cue. The cue to go out and kill, or be killed. The men had sweated it out all night, and now, with the 0 hour approaching, they faced the situation squarely. They were brave and frightened. The Major was giving them a final briefing as I walked
One
up.
last word. We're to land on Broad Beach. Engineers are already ashore cleaning up landmines and booby traps. That's their job. We've got the easy job. All we have to do is fight. Time, Sergeant.
About 3.5 minutes to go, sir.
All right. That's all, boys, except good luck and give them hell.
We're going to give them hell. Come on, you guys.
Sergeant, final check.
Yes, sir. Okay. Each man check the guy on his left.
Right, Sarge. Come on. Okay, Sarge.
You, Cameron. Who done your face? Who put the paint on?
Why, me, Sergeant. Who else?
Now, ain't that nice? Cameron, your nose is showing.
Imagine that.
Cover it. You ain't gonna lose Kiska on account of your nose. Go on, cover it. All okay, Major.
All right, men, get set. Any minute now. Any minute. And remember, for God's sake, keep quiet. The burglar's in the house, but the baby's asleep in the next room, see?
Gee, a baby? What baby?
Somebody smother that guy.
0, landing parties away. Section 205 over. Section 885
That's us.
over.
Let's go.
With a smothered cheer, the men dropped over the sides of the ship into the landing barges below. As I slid down the net into the Major's craft, I found myself muttering over and over, "This is it. This is it." The invasion of Kiska had begun. The trip to the shore of Broad Beach seemed to take hours. We crouched forward in the barge, anxiously scanning the mist-enveloped beach. Around us, I could see other barges loaded with men riding through the waves. We strained our ears, but other than the sound of the sea, we heard nothing. No guns, nothing. The men were tense, nervous. They sat holding rifles, hand grenades. The Major...
See anything, Russell?
Not a thing, Major.
Me either. Beach looks empty. Those Japs are tricky devils. Never know when they'll pop out at you.
Yeah, I've seen them rise out of nothing.
Let them rise. We're ready. All right, here we are.
Hey, just look at that beach. Broad Beach. Hell, it's about as wide as a ruler.
All right, men. Ready. Okay. Down the ramp. Scramble.
Assemble. Everybody assemble.
Quiet. They haven't spotted us. Get down flat. Sergeant, phone set up?
Right, sir. Here it is.
885 to Boy Holland 2.
Boy Holland 2 to 885. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Landing concluded without incident. No sign of enemy. Over.
Good. Proceed to objective. Watch out for traps and landmines. Bearing left on beach. Boy Holland 2. Over.
Right. 885. Over and off. Sergeant, let's go. Tell your men to watch out for mines and booby traps.
Yes, sir. Okay, everybody. Feet off the ground. Walk with your eyes. Traps and mines.
Mines? You mean gold?
Okay, funny man. Just watch it, that's all. Just watch it.
We moved on up the beach. The men fanned out in single file formation as we made our way over the tundra toward the highlands. We crept along slowly, cautiously. Not a sound did we hear, not a Jap did we see.
Eerie, ain't it?
Yeah, I don't like this. Go slow, Frank, go slow.
Sure. Hey, Sarge. Ain't that one of them?
Huh? Jap? Where?
Nah, a trap.
Huh? Let's see. Yeah, sure it is. Look out, Frank. Don't touch it.
Okay.
Just look at that, will you? If that ain't clumsy. A tin can loaded with dynamite. And they use a nail as a detonator. Ah, the stupid jerks.
Our objective was a heavy Jap emplacement on a crest of Robber Hill. We all tightened up as we crawled nearer and nearer.
Easy now. Easy. Watch it. Watch it.
Major, look. There's a Jap. He's moving. I think he sees us.
All right. Keep your men back. I'm going up.
I'm with you, Tom.
Hey, me too.
We decided to flank the emplacement, moving in on the Japs from the rear. We crawled painfully through the grass, expecting at any minute the Japs would spot us and blow us to hell. As we reached the top, the sergeant pulled out a hand grenade and...
Oh, baby. Look at all of them rats. This is going to be a pleasure.
2 grenades should do it.
Major, look. Huh? Look, up there.
Listen, they're going to see us in a minute. I'm going to heave this.
Sergeant, wait a minute now. Don't throw it.
But, Major, them
Don't
Japs
throw that grenade. Look.
Huh? Well, I'll be damned. Look at that, will you? Those ain't Japs at all. Just a flock of stinking scarecrows.
And that's what they were. This Japanese emplacement was armed to the hilt with mortars, field pieces, and machine guns, all manned and guarded by straw scarecrows. We couldn't believe it. The sergeant just lay there shaking his head.
I could have sworn they was moving.
We rested a moment while we inspected the guns and mortars. The major called me over.
Russell, look at this.
Yeah, all these guns are freshly oiled. No rust on them anywhere.
Means the Japs haven't been gone long. They might be anywhere, over the next ridge, on top of the next hill. Anywhere.
Of course, the major was right. We were up against the trickiest soldiers in the business. As most of us knew from bitter experience, nothing is too low or sneaky for a Jap to attempt. And we could not afford to become careless. These Japs might be anywhere, any place at all. But where? The major gave the command, and with the rest of the patrol, we moved on. Our next objective was the main enemy garrison. We circled back over the tundra and on down to the beach. And we were again warned by field phone to watch out for landmines and booby traps. As we picked our way carefully through the fog, one of the men...
Major, sir, look over here.
What is it?
Me and Jim found something over here, sir.
All right. Now, what is it?
See? By the water, sir. A whole flock of footprints.
That's right. All leading to the water. What do you make of that, Russell?
I don't know, but it's beginning to look like...
Geez, I feel like Robinson Crusoe. Where are them nips, anyway?
I don't know, son. But one thing's sure, we're going to find out.
By now, the fog had become so thick we could barely see 10 feet in front of us. This heightened the feeling that we were walking right into a trap. Among the men, tension mounted as we neared our objective. In a low voice, the major ordered the men to spread out and move in on the garrison in a sweeping half circle. As we closed in on the enemy stronghold, the second order came.
Fix bayonets.
As we crept nearer and nearer...
Hey, Sarge.
Shut up!
Listen, Sarge. There's something moving in that dugout up ahead.
Huh? Yeah, there is. Come on. Let's get him.
Yeah, okay.
Now get around by the door there. And when I give the word, you kick it open. And I'll toss this hand grenade in.
Yeah, then what?
Then we run like hell. Got it, Frank?
Sure, let's go.
All right. Easy now. Easy. Okay, Frank!
Stop it, Sarge. Hold it. Look, them ain't Japs. They're dogs.
Well, I'll be damned. 5 dogs.
What is this? Sergeant, what's wrong here?
Dogs.
What's that?
No Japs, just dogs. You know, Major, at this moment, I'm probably the most frustrated guy in the United States Army.
Like Russell Annabelle in the North Pacific area, United Press correspondents in every theater of military operations are living with our armed forces. Daily, they go with them into action to get the exciting stories of daring and bravery that lie behind the official communiques. We will bring you another thrilling story of these soldiers of the press soon. Be sure to listen. And remember to listen for United Press news on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news. Soldiers of the Press. This week, Battle Boomerang.
Ah, there you are, Tony.
Si, Signor Packard.
Tony, drop in at the PX and get me a package of cigarettes while I finish the story, will you?
Certamente, Signor Packard. But,
Oh, yes. Here's the money.
Signor Packard. Who is Sergeant York?
An American soldier who captured about the whole German army in the last war, that's all.
Well, the Colonello say there is...
Look, Tony, are you going to get me those cigarettes, or do we have to send you back to Naples? It was your idea to come along and run errands for us correspondents, you know.
Si, Signor. But the Colonello say that there is...
The Colonel says what?
The Colonello say Sergeant York just walked into headquarters from a no-man's land. Two of him.
All right, Tony, you win. We'll both go get those cigarettes. If the Colonel says Sergeant York is here, you may have stumbled onto a good yarn for me at that. A few minutes later, I had a reason to regard the small amount it cost to feed and house that orphan young Italian as the best investment I ever made. For Tony's budding news sense had led me to as amazing a yarn as I have come across in many months of battlefront reporting. For the beginning of it, we go to a shell-swept hillside in no man's land between the Allied Fifth Army advancing on Rome and the German front lines. A captain and sergeant of the United States Medical Corps, unarmed as usual, even in these hazardous surroundings, were administering blood plasma to a wounded corporal.
This boy's lost a lot of blood, Sergeant. Suffering from shock, too. Can't lose any time.
I'll have the transfusion gear set up in a minute, sir.
Well, let's see. You could throw the hose over that branch above you and set the plasma bottle in the crotch.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you the word when I'm ready for the stuff.
Okay.
What's going on here? Where?
He's coming too, Captain.
Well, that's all right, son. Just nick your shoulder. We'll have you okay in just a few minutes.
But my
just,
outfit...
Just lie quietly. We're going to give you something that'll have you back with your outfit in no time.
I gotta get back. What am I doing?
No. Just keep your arm out straight and your fist clenched. This'll hurt. Just a little bit.
Captain, I think I hear something.
Easy. There.
Captain, somebody's coming.
All right, Sergeant. Press the valve now.
It's Heinrich's, Doc. A German patrol. I can see him creeping through the woods here.
Well, Sergeant, there's not much we can do about it. Besides, we have work to do.
Yes, sir.
You better get out of here, sir. I'll be all right.
Now, take it easy, boy. Easy. Sergeant, you may run for it if you want to, but they'll probably mow you down before you get...
Thank you, sir. I'm sticking.
All right. Alcohol and cotton, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
What have you seen them?
All right. Put your hands up, Sergeant. I'm using mine.
Okay.
American sign. Hands up. All of you.
Oh, well.
Me too, Captain?
No, not you, Corporal. I don't think even the Nazis would shoot a wounded man lying on his back.
You, Herr Captain. Stand up. Search him. Search them all. Come on.
Take it easy, will you?
Sie sind unbewaffnet, Herr Oberleutnant.
So, you think to fight the Hermann Göring Elite Division without guns, huh? The amerikanischen Idioten.
We are the Medical Corps, Herr Oberleutnant.
You are German prisoners. Come along.
Well, we'll have to finish this transfusion. It won't take long. This man's life is at stake.
Well, we'll be quick about it.
Am I hurt bad, Doc? Will I be all right?
Oh, you're going to be all right, son. Thanks to somebody back home who donated this blood plasma.
Quiet, you. And hurry along with your work.
A few more CCs and we'll be all done. Just lie quietly and relax.
Now we'll all be prisoners. You shouldn't have done it, Doc.
Well, that's our job, my boy, just as you were doing your job when you were hit.
What's taking you so much time? Hurry up,
Just 1 second more. There. Now the dressing.
I cannot be here any longer. Get Beavis! Patrouille for me on! Patrouille for me on!
More alcohol and cotton, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Now, gauze.
Here you are, sir.
All right. Adhesive.
Here.
All right. On the stretcher.
Okay, sir.
And there we are.
Up! Up!
And that's how an American captain and sergeant in the medical corps, lost in their patrol in no man's land, happened to become prisoners of the Nazis, along with a wounded corporal they had come across in their wanderings. The captain, knowing that other American patrols were operating in this area, and that an Allied advance was indicated by the artillery barrage he could hear in the distance, had stalled as long as possible over the transfusion. Now, under the angry prodding of their German captors, they were making the reluctant trek to a Nazi concentration camp behind the German lines, bearing the wounded corporal on a stretcher. But they weren't through stalling.
Herr Oberleutnant, please. My patient can't stand this pace. We'll have to let him rest a moment.
What again? Is this a Yankee trick?
Gee, Lieutenant, the kid is real sick, and I...
Dein Maul!
Who are you pushing around, Heine? If you didn't have that gun, I'd bust you wide open.
Silence, all of you. Put that man down.
Thank you, Oberleutnant. There.
This is the last time, Herr Captain. I warn you.
All right, I'll administer morphine to ease his pain.
Ah, that is the way with you Americans. Stop!
Or shall we say humane, Herr Oberleutnant?
None of your insolence.
Ooh-yay. Ooh-yay. Yeh-hey. Otway. Aye-yay. Yeh-hey.
Yeah.
Right. One more word and I shoot all the three of you. Be going now.
Herr Oberleutnant, Amerikaner! Eine amerikanische Abteilung nähert sich auf der linken Seite der Straße.
Rusty, find out what's
Well, this is our chance. Quick, help me get him back in that big tree.
But the Germans...
Well, the Germans are busy with other things. Come on, hurry.
They don't know we're here. We'll be killed by our own bullets.
Oh, it'll be all over in a moment. Lie flat. When our boys get close enough, give the countersign.
Countersign? Gee, I'd forgotten the countersign, sir.
Strawberry shortcake.
Yeah, that's it. Strawberry shortcake. Strawberry shortcake! Hey, Yank! Strawberry shortcake! And so ended the second act of this drama of no man's land. The sergeant's countersign had been recognized by the advancing Yanks, and the three, so recently facing the dismal prospect of imprisonment, were reunited with their comrades. It looked like a happy ending when the American patrol took over the job of bearing the wounded corporal and gave the captain and sergeant directions back to the Allied lines. Shortly after they had parted company, a new menace, and then another, appeared in rapid succession. Say, Captain, I'm beginning to think our guys don't like us.
What do you mean?
That ain't Jerry artillery fire, and it's getting closer all the time.
Well, our fellows couldn't very well know we're here. But even if they did, they couldn't hold up the war just because we got lost.
Captain, sir, don't you think we ought to try to walk around this barrage?
Yeah, and get lost again?
Well, sir, I'd rather be lost than dead.
Well, just keep down as much as possible. We'll be all right.
Okay. Say, ain't that a farmhouse up there ahead?
Yeah, you're right. Now, we'll make for it and take cover till this thing blows over.
Captain?
Yeah?
You know what I'd rather be doing right now?
Well?
Eating some of my mom's homemade strawberry shortcake.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Not bad at all.
Say, Captain, I wonder who makes up those countersigns and why it always has to be something to remind you of what you haven't got and want.
Well, that's to make you fight harder, Sergeant. So you'll get home quicker where you will have it.
Home. Gee, sometimes I wonder if there is such a place. Like I remember it.
Yeah, it does seem almost too good to be true, doesn't it?
Yeah. I wonder what my girl's doing right now. Gosh. Say, you got a girl, Captain?
Oh, you bet. Two of them. Both blondes.
Cripes. A bigamist, huh?
One 22, the other 2.
Oh, I get it.
Now?
Boy, that one had our number on it, sir.
Close, all right. Too close.
Well, we're almost to the farmhouse. We could run for it, sir.
Good idea. Let's go.
Hey, wait a minute. Someone's in there.
Yeah, I hear someone moving, talking.
Drones. Gee, they're wounded, whoever they are.
It's too late now to investigate. We'll have to take a chance.
Germans!
Hands up, all of you.
Hands up, you guys.
One false move and you'll all be killed. This place is surrounded.
Hand over that gun, you.
Who's in command here? Step forward.
Captain.
Well, Herr Oberleutnant, we meet again.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Well, I'll be. The same Jerry's that took us prisoners.
I'll take that pistol if you please, Oberleutnant. Never mind. Just keep your hands up. I'll help myself. There.
Stand still back there. Don't any of you move till the captain orders.
Herr Oberleutnant, instruct your men to advance one at a time and lay their weapons here. Rifles, Tommy guns, hand grenades, everything. Remember, our men have you covered from every side. No foolishness now. All right, tell them.
Einer nach dem anderen vorgehen. Waffen niederlegen. Widerstand zwecklos. Wir sind umstingelt. Du, Krieger, zuerst.
Make them hand you their rifles, butt first, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Take out the bolts and throw them in the corner. I'll keep you covered.
Oh,
you, Schmidt.
Here's a Tommy gun for you,
Hand the
Captain.
guns in. Butt first.
It's more business, like.
Thanks. Watch them carefully now. Some of our friends this morning don't seem to like us.
Yes, sir.
You men collect those of the wounded and bring them here.
Guess the colonel will be pretty glad when we walk in with this haul, huh, sir?
Oh, you bet. With all these prisoners, you'll be a modern Sergeant York.
What's Sergeant York got that we haven't?
Well, you should know, Sergeant. Strawberry shortcake.
But the captain and sergeant did get strawberry shortcake that night. When the colonel heard the story, he ordered the mess sergeant to have it for chow if he had to make it out of strawberry jam and GI biscuit. And that's the way it was done. I saw to it that Tony got an extra large piece for tipping me to the story. Not the story of a big battle, to be sure, or even a minor engagement. Just how two unarmed medical men, in one brief day, had managed to get lost in the outfit, save the life of a corporal, be taken prisoner by the Nazis, and in turn, take their captors, 20 of them, prisoner. But it's acts of courage, heroism, and resourcefulness like these by men in every unit of the Allied forces that win the engagements and speed the day of ultimate victory.
Like Reynolds Packard, United Press war correspondents are on the job to bring you eyewitness stories from every battlefront. We will bring you another thrilling story of these soldiers of the press soon. Be sure to listen. And remember to listen to United Press News on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news.
This week, Leathernecks at Tarawa.
Get all your tanks ashore, Captain Langer?
Yes, Major. The Cannonball, China Girl, Colorado, Charlie, and Condor. All of C Squadron got ashore.
Good. Go in and blast anything and everything in your way. We've got to clear the beach for the men.
Yes, Excuse me, Captain. Well? The lieutenant says the Cannonball's radio was knocked out. To the hell with the radio. Tell the squadron to get underway. We're going in. Yes, sir.
Good luck, Langer.
Thank you, sir.
Corporal,
Yes,
have
sir.
you established radio contact with the flagship?
Yes, sir.
Then inform the general that the first wave has landed on Tarawa and is advancing inland as per plan. Resistance has been heavy and casualties severe. We need more.
This is Richard W. Johnston of the United Press speaking. I was with that first wave of Marine veterans to make a landing on Tarawa. How any of us got ashore alive, I'll never know. Many of our landing boats were blown out of the water by the murderous fire of the Japanese land batteries, still firmly entrenched despite the most concentrated bombardment by our sea and air forces ever seen in this area. The bay was filled with shattered men and machines. But all along the shore, I could see the battle-hardened Leathernecks, many of them veterans of Guadalcanal and other Solomon sorties, inching along on their bellies, oblivious to the hot lead raining all about them. Many lay sprawled face down on the sands, never to rise again. Enemy dead were everywhere. It was apparent from the start that it was going to be a battle of extermination. I crawled inland 100 yards or so to where Major Crow had set up temporary command headquarters.
Well, Johnson, I hope you've brought a couple of empty typewriter spools with you to throw at the nips. This place is lousy with snipers.
Well, so that's why you're lugging that shotgun around, huh? I thought you might have flushed a cover of quail back here.
Down. They're back.
Where? I don't see anything.
Be quiet and keep your eye on Daniel Boone. See what I mean?
Well, you got him, Major. Look at that Jap dangling from his harness in that coconut palm.
Sure, look around and you'll see a couple of more of them.
Say, you're right. A one-man army, huh?
Oh, this is bush-laid stuff compared to what that tank squadron is doing farther inland.
Have you heard from Captain Langer and the rest?
Yes, our radio picks them up on battle frequency. But those big guns tell me all I want to know.
Well, so that's what that is, our tank cannon.
I noticed the sound's getting farther and farther away all the time.
Yeah, C Squadron's still advancing. Well, let's go inside and see if we can tune in on them. Corporal.
Yes, sir.
You still get their signal?
Yes, sir. The China girl's trying to raise Captain Langer now, sir.
He can't. The Cannonball's radio has been knocked out.
Well, Captain Langer isn't in the Cannonball anymore, sir. While you were outside, I heard him tell Lieutenant Bowser the Cannonball took a shell and was knocked into a bomb crater. He's transferred to the Colorado.
Well, turn that up a little and let's hear what they're saying.
That was the last of the Condor. Charlie was blown out too, Captain. More of a crew were wounded and lying out there in Foxhole somewhere. Radio the base, the approximate location, Ed, and ask them to send out stretcher bearers. Over. China Girl calling Blue Leader. Come in, Blue Leader.
Blue Leader in, China Girl. I heard you talking to Colorado. What's the map reference?
N35, Skipper. Looks like they're pretty bad off.
We'll take care of them. You and China Girl proceed according to plan. Am I understood?
Message understood, Skipper.
Good hunting to you all. Good luck. Over and off.
Oh, the boys are having a time of it.
Yes, Langer reported earlier that some of those Jap pillboxes have concrete walls 25 feet thick. On top of that, an equal thickness of coconut logs and coral.
No wonder our naval guns and aerial bombs didn't blast them out.
Nothing less than a direct hit would do that.
Well, what's the answer, Major?
There's only one way. Go in and get them.
You mean rush a gun emplacement with fixed bayonets?
Hardly. Hand grenades down the entrance would do it, though.
But they'd never get near enough.
Langer's tanks could. Flamethrowers could.
And that's the way it was done. That plus some accurate bombing by our Navy and Air Force, which they were able to do with pinpoint precision only because our men on the ground paid with their lives to hunt out the strong points and relay the information back. I made my way back to the beach, where a temporary field hospital had been set up behind a sand barricade, the only natural shelter on the whole barren atoll. The place was swarming with our wounded, and the medical men worked feverishly over them. I set up my typewriter on an empty ammunition case and began typing out my notes. Say, could I grab a butt from you, buddy? Oh, sure, Mac. Here. Where'd they get you?
I don't know exactly. Feels like I'm sawed in two.
Better not try to talk. The doc will be along in a minute and fix you up.
Inside my tunic.
Take it easy, Mac.
Letter. Mail it, please.
Okay. Hey, Doctor. Give me a hand here.
Yes? Yes, what is it?
This man, he's dead.
Well, there's lots of others around here.
I know.
Doctor, could I see a minute?
Well?
Could you just set this on, put a splint on it or something? I've got to get back.
I'm afraid a one-armed officer wouldn't be much good out there, Lieutenant.
But I've got to get back.
Please, Lieutenant. Let me care for the severely wounded first.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry, Doc.
Where's your outfit, Lieutenant?
We're over on the left flank, trying to knock out that Jap battery near the pier. It's murder to let the second wave come in against that crossfire.
It'll be murder for us if they don't get here.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Besides, I think the Major has some plans for those babies.
Oh, you've seen Crow? Did you ever see anything more terrific? Stamping around, giving orders, and blasting Japs with his shotgun between times.
Looks like your own men are pretty terrific, Lieutenant.
Huh?
The Jap batteries quit.
Hey, you're right. The boys got him. They got him.
Would those be our Hellcats coming in for another pass?
That's it. Blowing close to the shore.
Under cover, everybody. Would you care to join me in the slip trench, Lieutenant? With pleasure. Here, let me give you a hand.
Right.
Here we are.
Say, you know where I'd rather be this afternoon?
Watching the Army-Navy game?
Nah. Down at Louis'.
Louis? Who's Louis?
He runs a little tavern in my neighborhood on the outskirts of Chicago.
I get what you mean.
Gee. Wonder if the beer tastes as good as I remember.
You had any of that Jap beer they captured back in the Solomon?
Oh, don't mention. I hope their brew's better here at Tarawa, where they're closer to home.
And the beating this place is getting, I don't think there'll be even a beer bottle left whole when it's over.
Oh, damn! They got me again.
Where? Here, look at you.
Oh, in the chest. Something hit me in the chest.
Could this be it?
Well, I'll be. 50 caliber shell kicked out by one of our own planes. Well, I hope its bullet found a better mark.
And so it went for the next 3 days and nights. Our casualties streamed in at an alarming rate at that beachhead hospital. The Higgins landing boats continued to pour men ashore, but it seemed to me they took back a larger number of wounded than the reinforcements they brought. Yet one by one, the enemy pillboxes were silenced, and inch by inch, those gallant, weary Marines made their way across the T-shaped atoll, mopping up. On the morning of the fourth day, I happened by Major Crow's command base.
Oh, hello, Johnson.
Hello.
Still in one piece, I see.
Yes, but from what I've seen these last few days, I'd say you and I are the only ones of the original wave that are.
Oh, you're wrong there. Remember our friends Langer and Bowser, the Colorado and China Girl?
Are those tankers still at it?
And since you were here last, they've knocked out the superstructure on the wharf, killed 100 or so Japs who came boiling out of it. Blown up I don't know how many enemy pillboxes and ammunition dumps, too. Just generally roamed around, raising the devil.
Well, what do you know?
Corporal.
Yes, sir.
See if you can't get those tight signals a little clearer, will you?
Yes.
Says
There,
there's
that's
a
it.
steel turret down here at the end of the island we've got to knock out right away.
See anything that looks like it, Captain?
Well, if that's it, moving along behind that row of palms down there, our steel turret is a Jap tank.
Yeah, I see it now.
Well, what are we waiting for?
You take the high road and I'll
I'll get old Nippo before you.
Well, the boys seem to be in pretty good spirits, huh?
After 72 hours straight, that's incredible.
Listen, they're talking again.
Looks like you're in the best position, Lieutenant. Want to take a shot? I'll cover.
Do I? Watch this, Captain. Easy now. Easy.
A bullseye, Ed. She's burning.
Yeah. There come a couple of our crew out of the turret. They're running for that low place over on your side.
Yeah, I see them. Just let me wheel around here a bit. There.
Brother, they hit the jackpot that time. And how?
Those Japs ran into an ammunition dump, Captain. You've blown up the whole bloomin' works.
Yeah, that was a beautiful sight. Son of a gun if it wasn't.
Whoops. Here come our infantry, Captain. Off to your right.
Yeah, they seem to have found something interesting in that tunnel over there.
Let's go over and have a look, shall we?
Right.
Well, from other reports I've received, Johnson, I'd say you're sitting in on that Dragon's last stand on Tarawa.
I hope so. It's been a
Wait a
tough
minute.
deal.
Here they come again.
What did the infantry commander tell you, Ed?
He says there are about 50 Japs crowded into that exit tunnel.
Just the job for the Colorado. We'll maneuver up to the entrance. Like so. Point our cannon down the mouth. And whoosh! You can go home now, son. Show's all over.
And it was all over, except burying the dead. The Marines had captured Tarawa, but they had paid the highest price in dead and wounded in the history of the Corps. Of the 3,000 odd who made the original assault, all but about 200 of them stained that barren atoll with their blood. For about half that number, their graves will be the shifting sands of that lonely pinpoint in the Pacific. It was a terrible price to pay, but it was their job, and those Marines performed it bravely and unflinchingly. Tarawa was a little battle, as battles go in these days of global war, but as the symbol of the unquenchable spirit of free men everywhere, it will live as long as man cherishes the right to walk with dignity, unafraid.
Like Richard W. Johnston, United Press war correspondents are on every battlefront to bring you fast, accurate, and colorful eyewitness stories of history in the making. Armed only with their typewriters, these veteran observers live with the troops and go into action with them. That is why their dispatches reflect so faithfully the sound and fury of battle, the actual conditions our fighting men face. It is in tribute to our armed forces that we present these dramatized versions of on-the-scene stories by United Press correspondents. We will bring you another thrilling story of these soldiers of the press soon. Be sure to listen. And listen for United Press news on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news.
Soldiers of the press.
This week, the return of the soldier.
All right, men, keep down. Watch the landmines.
Let's go, boys.
Stick with me, Sam.
Right behind you, boy. Not so fast, lads. And let me go ahead and check.
Okay, Bill.
Going with him.
No, Sam. Stay with me.
He's giving us the okay. Let's go.
Come on.
Bill! He hit one! Bill! Bill!
My leg! My leg! My leg!
right there.
Earl Johnson, general manager of the United Press, was waiting when...
Come in. Come in. Come in, Joan. Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
Joan, the United Press feels we've done a great job in telling the story of this war. But there's another story that hasn't been told. The story of the greatest battle our boys will face.
Here at home?
That's right. The story of the wounded in their first home front battle. The battle of facing their families.
That's a tough one, all right.
Yes. 90% of our wounded consider the return home the biggest battle of all.
Do you want me to...
We want you to visit these boys at the Mitchell Field Hospital base and get us a story. Find out what they're up against.
Sounds like a real assignment.
It is. That story ought to help those boys to win the battle of facing their families.
Yes, and maybe show the American people how they can help.
Joan Younger?
Yes?
I'm Nurse Jane Gray.
Oh, I'm glad to know you, Miss Gray.
Before you go in, there's some things you must know.
Yes, I was going to ask you...
Don't stare at the boys, and don't ask them about their wounds.
Oh, I understand.
It's all right to be sympathetic, but don't be intense about it. If you can't think of what to say, just say, how you doing, or something like that. Just watch me and you'll be all right, okay?
Okay.
Here we go. Boys, I want you to meet a friend of mine, Joan Younger of the United Press.
Hello, Joan.
Hello yourself.
Joan, meet Al Dreiser, the best commando in Normandy. He wants to ask you a question.
Now, how did you know that?
Well, you won't believe me. Maybe you'll believe her.
What's on your mind, Al?
Well, I'll give it to you straight.
Okay.
My leg is paralyzed. Will I be able to dance someday?
Well, sure you will.
I knew it. I knew it. Just like the nurse.
What do you mean?
How can I dance again when I never have danced in my life? I hate dancing.
Well, come around and see the girls at United Press. We'll change your mind.
Well, maybe I will. You know, I don't want to go home.
But why?
Oh, Mom will fix breakfast for me in bed. Sis will tiptoe around and... Oh, gee, I won't have any fun at all. I don't want to be pampered.
Did you ever meet such a crazy loon in your life, Joan?
I think you're making a mistake, Al.
I tell you what. I'm going to wait till my brother-in-law gets home before I call up tonight.
Why tell your brother-in-law first?
Well, he can tell Sis about me, and then she can tell Ma. It's kind of tough on the folks at home, you know. I don't like to tell Ma because... Boy, she sure can cry.
Think it over, Al. Let me know what you want to do.
Okay, Nurse. Thanks, Joan, for coming around.
Sure, Al. I'll be seeing you again soon. Nurse Jane Grey was an angel. The boys' actions were only too familiar to her. There is no way she can prepare any of their families for the bad news. War Department communications state merely that the boy has been wounded in action. It's left to the soldier himself to give the details. Those who can walk on crutches or in casts telephone as soon as they arrive by hospital plane from England. They call their mothers first, but they rarely mention their wounds. They just say...
Sure. Sure, I'm fine, Ma. Honest, I am. Don't cry, Ma. Please don't cry.
Later, those who are married call their wives and attempt to explain what is wrong with them in a general way.
I'm home, honey. It's going to be a tough year ahead, but don't worry. I'll be as good as new someday.
Soldiers who are critically wounded usually try to break off their engagements. Nurse Jane Grey always encourages them to think it over for a few days before making up their minds. The blind, the disfigured, the voiceless, and the deaf are handled the most gently. Many of these gallant boys will need long-term expert care before they are capable of facing their families.
Well, Joan, you met just about all the boys except one.
Who's that?
A boy named Bill Williams.
Bill Williams?
He was out on patrol one night in Normandy.
All right, men, keep down. Watch the landmines. Let's go, boys. Stick with me, Sam.
Right behind you, boy.
Not so fast, lads. And let me go ahead and check. Okay, Bill.
I'm going with him.
No, Sam. Stay with me.
He's giving us the okay. Let's go.
Come on.
No!
a leg. They brought him in yesterday by plane from England.
Poor boy.
I've been trying to get him to call his girl. First he says he will, then he changes his mind.
Where is he?
Over there by the wall. Don't look now. But would you go over and see what you can do?
Well, I don't know that I'll be much use, but I'll try.
Bill, this is Joan Younger of the United Press.
Hello.
Hello, Bill.
Bill, Joan wants to...
I know. You want me to call my girl?
Don't you think you owe it to her, Bill? After all, you promised the nurse.
I've changed my mind. I just can't talk to her.
You promised me, Bill. You said you'd call today.
What's the use? I'm no good to her now.
Bill Williams, you're talking through your hat, and you know it.
I'm just trying to be fair.
Fair? Was that a way to treat a girl who loves you, Bill? A girl who's been waiting for you? Are you going to let her down now? Well, are you?
All right. Hand me the phone.
Bill Williams took the telephone. His hands were shaking. The men around him gave him the only privacy possible. They ignored him. When the call was put through, Bill turned to me.
I won't tell her about my leg. I'll just tell her I don't love her.
Give her a chance, Bill. Give her a chance.
Tears rolled down Bill's face. When he started to talk, his voice was so weak we had to start over again.
Hello. Hello, Amy.
Bill.
I'm home, Amy. They brought me home in a plane.
Are you all right, Bill? Tell me the truth. Are you all right?
Sure, I'm fine. Honest, I'm fine, but...
Yes, darling.
Look, Amy.
Yes?
I lost my leg.
Oh, Bill, is that all?
Is that all?
You silly boob. Why don't you ask a doctor for an artificial leg?
Look, Amy, we'll talk about our engagement later when I get to a hospital near home.
I love you, Bill. You hear? I love you. More than ever.
Amy, you don't know what you're saying, honest. I won't hold you to any promises.
Bill, you fool. There'll never be anybody but you. Come home to me, Bill. Come home.
Oh, honey, don't cry. Please don't. I'll be coming home soon.
I'll be waiting, Bill. Please remember, I'll be waiting.
Goodbye, Amy.
Goodbye, darling.
Well, what did I tell you, Bill? Was Joan Younger right?
Oh, gosh. Amy was wonderful. You know what she said, Joan?
What?
She said, why didn't I ask the doctor for an artificial leg? Boy, is she brave.
And that's the story of my visit to the hospital base at Mitchell Field, New York. We of the United Press hope that my visit has served its purpose. Hope that you will make their home front battle as easy as possible. Remember that with your help, the battle is more than won. Before I left the hospital, Bill Williams told me something I think all of you should know. He said,
I wish every man, woman, and even children could be made to walk through a hospital of wounded and see what it's like. Maybe then there wouldn't be any wars. Ever.
You have just heard Joan Younger's dramatic story of the return of the soldier. United Press correspondents cover the world, here at home and all the world battlefronts. We will present another in this series, Soldiers of the Press, soon. Be sure to listen. And meanwhile, remember to listen for United Press news on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news.
decision.
What time is it, Colonel?
10:50, General. 10:50 a.m.
No word from the enemy, huh?
No, sir. All outposts are silent.
All right. They're asking for it, and they're going to get it. Colonel, the hour of decision has arrived. We attack Aachen.
This is United Press correspondent Henry Gorell reporting on the hour of decision at the doomed German city of Aachen. The day broke gray and cold. A white, chilly mist shrouded the 1,100-year-old city of German emperors. But the German troops in Aachen were not worried about the chilly mist. Their concern was a more lethal pall overhanging the city. A pall of tough American troops encircling the entire area, except for a so-called suicide corridor less than a mile wide to the east. That was the situation when the commanding American general told me at his headquarters.
Few Germans might get through, but I don't think many will want to risk our artillery fire.
Isn't there a possibility of the Germans from the outside attempting to widen that corridor and reinforce the Germans at Aachen?
They'll never get through, Gorell. The German garrison and civilians in Aachen face two alternatives: surrender or death.
Take that call, Private Cady.
Yes, sir. Hello?
King 4 calling Red Heart. King 4 calling Red Heart.
It's one of our scout planes over the corridor.
I'll take it. This is Red Heart, King 4. Go ahead.
Enemy tanks and half-tracks approaching from the east. Looks like they're going to try and widen the corridor. That is all.
Message received, King 4. Hello. Hello, get me headquarters. Hurry. Hello, Colonel Forbes. Scout planes report enemy from the east advancing on corridor with heavy armor. Right. Right.
Well, Gorell, you're going to see something now. Colonel Forbes.
Yes, sir?
Batteries A to F. Get the range and fire along the line.
Yes, sir.
And don't let up, you understand?
Yes, sir.
Batteries A to F. Range 2,000, 2,500, and 3,000. Range 2,000, 2,500, and 3,000. Deflection 0. Deflection 0. 10 rounds high explosives. Steady. 10 rounds. Steady. Steady. Fire! Fire!
On a hill with the general and watched the American long-tom cannons cut loose with a murderous barrage that split the advancing German armored column in half. The tail of the column withdrew. The forward elements raced to the outskirts of the narrow corridor to join the hard-pressed German infantry. Again, our artillery opened up, and in a few minutes, the Germans' last attempt to reinforce Aachen had been smashed. Back at the American commander's headquarters.
Well, Gorell, it's now or never. Colonel Forbes.
Yes, sir?
Fetch me 3 of your best men. Make it 2 officers and 1 enlisted man. Make sure one of them speaks German.
Yes, sir, General.
Well, Gorell, can you guess the next move?
Well, I'd say that you're about to send the German commander at Aachen an ultimatum.
And I would say, Gorell, that you are correct. Gentlemen, I've called you here to deliver an ultimatum to the commander of the German garrison at Aachen. Which one of you speaks German?
Aye, sir. Lieutenant William Bohm, sir.
You're acquainted with the military formalities?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, you.
Lieutenant George Maffey, sir.
You, Maffey, will deliver my ultimatum. And Private...
Kenneth Kading, sir.
You, Private Kenneth Kading, will carry the flag of truce.
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Maffey, here's your message. That's all, gentlemen, and good luck.
I accompanied those 3 American soldiers, Maffey, Bohm, and Kading, to our last outpost, and then watched their backs grow smaller in the distance as they approached the German lines. I glanced at my watch. The time was 10 minutes to 11 in the morning. 10 minutes to 11.
Halt! Wer ist da?
Wir sind Amerikaner.
Wir haben einen Depesche für Ihren Kommandant.
I can speak English. Message for our commander, did you say?
That's right, a message for your commander.
Give it to me. I will give you a receipt. Stillstand! At Passage. I'm sorry. Better keep that flag high. Seid ihr blind? Here's your receipt.
Thank you.
Now I must blindfold you and take you to my lieutenant. Turn around.
12 hours passed, still with no reply from the German garrison. Then on Radio Berlin...
Radio Berlin. This is Radio Berlin. The American commander has called on the German garrison at Aachen to surrender within 24 hours or face destruction. Our answer is that we reject that ultimatum. The city where the coronation of 37 German emperors took place cannot be asked to surrender.
That's enough. Colonel Forbes.
Yes, sir, General.
Will you come in, please? Well, Gorell, there's nothing to do but show them that our planes and guns will turn Aachen into a mass of ruin and rubble. An example of the fate that awaits every German city resisting Allied arms.
Yes, sir, General.
Colonel, I want you to put every plane in this area on the alert, ready for immediate takeoff.
Yes, sir.
Inspect all artillery batteries and see that sufficient incendiaries and high-explosive shells are on hand.
Right away, sir.
One thing more. Order all sound trucks out the first thing tomorrow morning. I'll prepare the proclamation I want broadcast tomorrow. That's all, Colonel. Hurry. Those night hours on the front before Aachen were the longest I've ever spent in my life. I watched mechanics scramble over dive bombers. Watched them move up heavy bombs ready for instant loading. Watched the artillerymen check their giant guns while scout planes flew over the city, dropping thousands of leaflets containing the surrender terms and calling upon the city to give in. The answer was silence. When daylight broke, the general ordered out the sound trucks to broadcast his final warning to the garrison and civilians of Aachen.
The fate of Aachen is in your hands. You face the senseless death of thousands of your men and the destruction of your city. You alone have the power and authority to prevent this. For the last time, we call upon you, the German garrison and civilians of Aachen. Lay down your arms. This is our last warning.
What time is it, Colonel?
10:50, General. 10:50 a.m.
No word from the enemy, huh?
No, sir. All outposts are silent.
All right. They're asking for it, and they're going to get it. Colonel Forbes, the hour of decision has arrived. We attack Aachen.
Yes, sir.
Order all planes to bomb up. Alert the artillery. Tell Captain Roberts...
Deflection, 0. Deflection, 0. 20 rounds high explosives. 20 rounds high explosives. Let 'em have it. Fire away!
From the hills before the encircled city, I watched Aachen go to its fate. That deadly hail of fire and hot steel was more than any human could stand. And soon, from the outskirts, appeared a great mass of German civilians and soldiers, their screams and hoarse cries echoing across the battlefield. Dazed and sobbing, their faces contorted with fear, they streamed into our lines by the hundreds. Behind them, the terrified civilians left the ancient city of Aachen, dying under a bright blue sky, heaving under the dreadful symphony of bombs and bullets. Colonel Forbes, after surveying this dreadful scene, summed it up when he said to me,
This is the way every town in Germany should look.
Then there wouldn't be any more war for a while.
You have just heard United Press correspondent Henry Gorell's dramatic story of the death of Aachen, based on the famous American ultimatum, surrender or die. We will present another in this series in the near future. Be sure to listen. And meanwhile, remember to listen for United Press news on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news.
Soldiers of the press. This week, target Tokyo.
This is Mac Johnson of the United Press, reporting from Saipan on a story of revenge. A story that began on April 18th, 1942.
Army flyers headed by Major General James Doolittle have bombed military objectives in Tokyo and 4 other Japanese cities.
Americans were jubilant, but the jubilance was changed to horror a few days later when the Japanese radio announced,
"The sacred soil of Japan has been defiled by American fires. Several American flyers responsible for this outrage have been captured and shot."
The United States government made vigorous representations to Japan for this inhuman treatment of prisoners of war. But out here in the Pacific, the pilots, the bombardiers, the navigators, and the gunners of our Army Air Corps were not thinking about representations. They were thinking,
Remember those dead comrades when you get a Jap Zero in your sight. Have their sacrifice before you when you line up your bomb sight upon a Japanese base. Remember, and let your answer be the destruction of Japan.
yes, the men of our armed services remembered. They remembered when they smashed a Jap invasion fleet in the Coral Sea. Remembered when they invaded the Solomons, the Gilberts, New Britain, the Marshalls, pushing inexorably through the enemy's outer defenses, smashing, driving closer to Japan. Yes, and the day of revenge was at hand when we invaded the Marianas and captured Saipan, 1,600 miles from Tokyo.
The Americans speak of revenge when they are 1,600 miles from our sacred soil. Fools! They have found by now that the Marianas are a mass of coral. It is impossible to construct airfields there for long-distance bombers. We Japanese dare the Americans to try it. We dare them!
Get a move on, you engineers. Keep those trucks going. We got work to do. Come on.
You're not losing much time, are you, Colonel?
Oh, hello, Johnson. What's new with the United Press today?
Well, that's just what I was going to ask you. We've only been in Saipan 6 days, and with the fighting still going on, your engineers...
Yes, my engineers are busy preparing a little surprise for those sons of heaven. Come round in a few weeks. I'll show you something that'll knock your eye out.
Don't worry, Colonel. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, thank God it's finished at last. What do you think of it, Johnson?
Well, it can't be real, Colonel.
Yeah, but it is. You're looking at a B-29 airfield.
Yeah, runway. It's terrific.
Uh-huh. How long would you say it is?
Well, it looks like it runs all the way across the island.
That runway, Johnson, is exactly 7 miles long.
7 miles?
Every bit of it. Those big super fortresses need plenty of leeway to take off. Why, do you realize that one B-29 carries one full tank car of fuel oil?
Super fortresses? B-29s? Say, Colonel, what are you cooking up now?
You tell me, Johnson. You tell me.
I didn't have to tell the Colonel. All of us on Saipan knew what was coming. Knew that most of the credit would go to those hard-working aviation engineers. They accomplished the impossible. They moved 4 million square yards of rock coral. They moved one entire block to carve a B-29 runway virtually the distance of the island. A few days later, from the east, came the drone of a mighty armada of planes.
Well, Johnson, there's your answer for United Press.
Super fortresses.
B-29s, Johnson. The greatest long-distance bombers in the world. Hey, look at those babies.
Boy, a perfect landing.
Yes, thank God for that. If they can land on Saipan, they can take off from Saipan. Come on, let's go meet the pilot. Well, men, we discussed the preliminaries of this reconnaissance flight last night, so I needn't go over the details again. However, let me review briefly. Make straight for the target. No roving around looking for a fight. You have one job to do. Photograph strategic targets in Tokyo and get back here to Saipan as fast as you can. The route out will be direct. Route back, direct. Any questions?
No, sir. Okay,
Good flying, gentlemen, and hurry back. Congratulations, Major, on a fine job.
Thank you, Colonel.
I want you to meet Mac Johnson of United Press.
Hello, Mac.
Congratulations, Major.
Thanks. Say, Colonel, how did the photos come out?
Well, take a look for yourself. You too, Johnson.
Yeah. Amazing.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Not bad. For your information, Major, those photos you took are the best pictures of enemy targets ever taken.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Do you have any trouble on the flight, Major?
Well, nothing serious. A couple of Zeros jumped us, but we chased them off.
Maybe it'll be different next time, eh, Colonel?
Yeah. Your guess is as good as mine, Johnson, but I know how you can find out.
Yeah? How?
Our day is coming.
Well, the sooner the better, sir. All the men are anxious.
Yeah. How'd you like to come along, Johnson, for the ride?
How? You mean...
These United Press correspondents catch on quick, huh, Major? Everybody here, Major?
Yes, sir.
Where's Johnson, the United Press?
Over here, Colonel.
Oh, all right. Men, your attention, please. Your attention. You all have the details of the formation. First squadron, forming the leading element, will take off at 0640. Group assembly will be over reference point J at 7,000 feet. Reconnaissance indicated we can expect a warm reception from anti-aircraft fire and fighters. If you're forced down, you know what to do. The main objective, gentlemen, is to get to Tokyo and bomb hell out of your targets. Any questions? That's all. Then go get them.
So long, Colonel.
You're in good hands, Johnson. The Major's one of our best B-29 pilots.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck, Major. Hit 'em one for Doolittle's men, huh?
We'll hit them plenty, sir. All right, Johnson. Up you go.
Okay, Major.
Army 49607 from Tower. Clear to taxi to number 1 runway and take off when ready. Clear to taxi and take off. Go ahead.
We'll go. Roger. Hang on to your hat, Johnson. We're on our way to Tokyo.
Okay, Major.
Pilot to navigator. How are we doing?
Right on course. Wind's constant. Compass heading 22. No drift. ETA
2 minutes. Hear that, gang? We'll be in on the target in 2 minutes. 2 gangsters coming in fast from 6 o'clock. Watch them, rear gunner. I'm on him. Come on, Hirohito. Come and get it. Nice work, gunner. You scared him off. Where's the other one? He's gone too, I think. Yeah, all clear, Skipper. Nice work. We're coming in now. We'll be bombing from 25,000. Hey, Johnson, is the United Press still with us? Yes, sir. Stand by, everybody. Approaching target. Better get set, sir. Okay, take over. Bomb doors open. How do you want it, Bombardier? As she goes. Altitude 25,000. Check. 25,000. Check. Ground speed 170. Check. 170. Check. It's all yours. Left 2 degrees. Steady. Steady. Bombs away. Right on the button. What do you say, United Press? Good work, Major. Good work.
The first B-29 raid on Tokyo was a smashing success. The barbaric treatment of General Doolittle's courageous flyers had been avenged. One of our leaders summed it up when he said,
"This first B-29 raid on Tokyo was a calculated extension of our air power. No part of the Japanese Empire is now out of our range. No war factory too remote to feel the fury of our bombs. The battle for Japan has been joined."
You have been listening to Mac Johnson's dramatic account of Target Tokyo, the story of the first B-29 raid on the Japanese capital. We will present another in this series in the near future. Be sure to listen. Meanwhile, remember to listen for United Press news on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news. Soldiers of the press. This week, the symbol of Caduceus.
This is United Press correspondent Walter Cronkite reporting from somewhere on the Western Front on the symbol of Caduceus. What is Caduceus? Well, let's put it like this. The ancient emblem of Caduceus has been the insignia of doctors for more than 2,000 years. It consists of a staff entwined by 2 serpents, signifying presumably the eternal struggle between life and death. And its significance stands out more than ever today on the Western Front, where the gallant army nurses, the ladies of Caduceus, administer to the sick, the wounded, the dying. I was with them a few days before the fateful German offensive on the Belgian front.
You know, O'Leary, there's one thing about being stationed at a frontline hospital.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about how to pass the time.
Personally, I'd like to pass some time in Paris.
Funny, isn't it, Jamison? This time last year, I was home in Mississippi, going to dances, wearing pretty clothes, soft perfume.
Listen at Preston.
So you were dancing. So you joined the Army Nurse Corps. Now you're wading in mud. Why don't you stop talking about Mississippi?
What's wrong with Mississippi? Look at me. Look at all of us. Itchy woolen shirts, sticky slacks, GI boots.
Huh. So what? I suppose you think a new spring straw would look better up here than that steel helmet?
Oh, don't let a little thing like a spring hat worry you, Preston, or dances either, for that matter. The only music we're going to be hearing for a long time is those big guns up there.
Not exactly a swing version either.
Well, I don't care what it is. I sure could stand a furlough in Paris. My. That reminds me, the colonel promised us he'd...
Shh. Here he comes now, with Walter Cronkite. Now, girls, better check those bandages. Be sure about the morphine supply. One more thing.
You're still at it, huh, Lieutenant?
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon. You all know Walter Cronkite of United Press?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Hello, Jameson. O'Leary, Preston. Taking things kind of easy, aren't you, for a change?
It's the first breathing spell we've had for some time.
We sent the last group of wounded out this morning.
Yes, a fine job you've all been doing, all of you.
Thank you, Colonel.
Now, I don't want to make any promises, but if nothing happens the next few days, you'll all get a furlough to Paris.
Paris? Mama. I'm going to get a permanent.
What about you, O'Leary?
Me? I think I'll sleep in a hotel for a change.
I think I'll take a look around the surgical ward. You coming, Cronkite?
No, thanks, Colonel. I'll stick around for a while.
All right, suit yourself. See you all later.
Goodbye,
Yes,
Colonel.
sir. What do you think of that, Mr. Cronkite? We're going to Paris.
First time, isn't it?
Oh, we passed through there on the way to the front.
That's right, just pass through.
Well, that calls for a story. Now, suppose we start with...
Listen. That don't sound like us.
No, Germans.
Ho hum,
nothing. Listen. You better get the colonel.
Watch the patients, everybody.
Hurry!
Lieutenant!
Yes, Colonel.
Prepare for patients. Looks like a major attack.
Right away, sir. Step on it, boys. You'll find more beds over there. Preston,
What is it?
better see what that boy wants. Third bed on the right.
Right away.
Looks bad, doesn't it, O'Leary?
I don't know. I'm waiting for the colonel.
He's got his hands full in the operating room.
Not there, boys. Take him over in the west wing.
Okay, Lieutenant.
How's your ward holding up, Jameson?
We lost 2 this morning. Here come some more.
Where do you want him, Lieutenant?
In the rear, straight back. Jameson, give them a hand, will you?
Sure. This way, boys. Easy there, soldier. You'll be all right.
Sure I will, Cutie. Anybody ever call you Cutie?
Sure. Why not?
Corporal, send back immediately for all the blood plasma you can get. Morphine, too. They're coming in too fast for us to handle. Oh, there you are, Lieutenant O'Leary.
Colonel, we need more space.
Yeah, I need lots of things. Now, just remember, we can't risk any unnecessary alarm. Keep everybody as calm as you can. Looks like an all-out German offensive.
Yes, sir. Colonel,
I
what about...
can't talk anymore now, O'Leary. I need you in the operating room at once.
Where is that plasma? Hurry it up, boys. Put him over there.
Okay, Lieutenant. Come on, fellas. Easy does it.
Oh, Larry.
Yes, Preston. What is it?
That boy with the leg. You better take a look.
Okay. You stay here and handle the incoming.
My leg. My leg. Nurse.
Hello, Bill. How's my favorite patient today?
Hiya, Cutie.
Something I can do for you, Bill.
Yeah. You see these pictures here? My girl. Letters. I want you to send them home.
What do you mean, send him home? You'll be back up in a few days.
Don't kid me, Cutie. I know better. Take them, please.
All right, Bill.
Thanks. I feel better already. You don't mind me calling you Cutie, do you?
Confidentially, Bill. I like it.
Thanks. Will you read this to me? It's...
Sure.
My mother gave it to me. You know.
And I foresaw the Lord before my face. For he is my right hand, and I shall not be moved.
Therefore did my heart rejoice, and my tongue was glad, because my flesh shall rest in hope. Thou wilt not believe.
Jameson! Jameson!
What is it, O'Leary?
Get some whole blood, quick.
Bill, is he...
Whole blood, quick.
Right away.
coming up, Colonel.
Yes, Cronkite. Gotta move and move quick. Come on.
Colonel, we need you. That boy over there, Bill.
No time for that, Lieutenant. I have orders to evacuate this space at once.
No.
That's right, O'Leary. The Germans are on the edge of town.
But that boy over there.
All right, I'll see him. Let's go.
My leg.
How is he, Preston?
Not so good.
Bill, the Colonel's here to see you. And Walter Cronkite, United Press.
Listen, Cutie, I heard what the Colonel said. Don't worry about me.
How you feeling, Bill?
Get these nurses out of here, sir. Quick. Down, everybody.
Lieutenant, get your nurses together at once.
Germans are in town.
You ain't got much time, Cutie.
True to his promise, the colonel did not leave one single patient behind. And during that enemy offensive, not a wounded GI was lost to the Germans. Most of the credit goes to those nurses, the ladies of Caduceus, working night and day, their jaws set, their eyes red-rimmed from lack of sleep. These girls transferred their hospital base 6 times before the enemy offensive was finally checked. And when it was over, the colonel told me...
Those nurses, Cronkite, they're heroes. And I want the United Press to tell the folks back home that they were terrific. Tell them we need more nurses like them. And we need them fast.
I'll tell them, Colonel. I'll tell them.
You have been listening to United Press correspondent Walter Cronkite's story of the symbol of Caduceus, the saga of U.S. Army nurses. Cronkite is one of many United Press correspondents who gather and write the news of world-shaking events as they happen. We will bring you another transcribed program dramatizing the experience of these soldiers of the press in the near future. Be sure to listen. Meanwhile, listen for United Press news on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news.
Soldiers of the press. This week, the Grease Monkey.
This is Walter Cronkite of the United Press, reporting to you from a 9th Air Force fighter base somewhere on the Western Front. Today I want to tell you about heroes and a guy. Now, heroes around air bases wear wings as a rule. But here at this air base, there is one hero who never flew a plane. His name?
R.D. Hendrickson, Mr. Cronkite. I come from a pretty little town in Missouri. We call it Pleasant Hill. Yes, sir, Pleasant Hill. Those were the days. But just call me R.D., mister. Everybody around here...
Yes, everybody around here knows R.D., and that's what we call him. A 26-year-old kid from Pleasant Hill, Missouri. A grease monkey. A Mustang nurse. Take a good look at him. His coveralls are stained with oil. His fingernails are dirty. His thatch of blonde hair that'll never stay combed is always...
Yeah. Did you say R.D.? Sure, I know that little tow-headed grease monkey. He wants to be a pilot. Stands off and listens to us shoot the breeze after a flight. Funny little guy.
Go easy on him, Lieutenant. R.D.'s all right and a good mechanic. He may have had an unfortunate brush with the Major, but, hell, that could happen to any of us. Ask the Major. He'll tell you the same thing.
What's that, Captain? What's that? R.D.? Do I know him? How can I ever forget that little grease monkey? Oh, of course, it was an accident. Could happen to anybody. But why did it have to happen to me? Sergeant Mulvaney. Sergeant.
Well, that should give you a pretty good idea of R.D., the Missouri grease monkey. One of the best mechanics in the business, but a funny little guy. In trouble more often than not. And not the kind of guy you write stories about. Stories are written about heroes. But today it's different. Well, let me tell you what happened.
Hey, R.D.
Hiya, Sarge. What's up?
Look, how about policing up this place? The major's coming.
What's that?
Stop that hammering! Get this shop cleaned up before the major gets here for inspection.
Okay. What time is he coming?
What's that?
I said, what time is he coming?
That's what I'm gonna find out. Hey, for heaven's sake, R.D., will you stop that confounded hammering? You're through, R.D.?
All but this one oil drum. Hey, Sarge.
Hurry it up. The major's coming now.
Hey.
Oh, doggone it. I tried to tell him it's full and not empty. Oh, well. I'll push it under the bench. There you go. Oh, now I'm in for it. Oil all over the floor, the major coming, the sergeant, oh.
Yes. Well, here we are, Sergeant. Looks neat from the outside.
Wait till you see the inside, sir.
Hey, Sarge.
What was that?
Hey, Sarge.
Oh, just one of the grease monkeys inside getting everything ready for you, sir.
Fine. Fine. Well, let's have a look.
Right this way, sir. A little dark inside. Careful when you step down.
Please, sir. Major, don't come in. The oil drum.
Step aside, son. I've just come to look. Look out! Oh,
Major, here, let me help you up, sir.
I warned him, Sarge. The oil drum turned over and the oil...
The oil! Get me out of this mess, Sergeant.
Yes, sir. Let me help you
Get
up,
away
sir.
from me. You'll answer for this, Sergeant. You'll answer for this.
All right, R.D., all right. You already got one strike on you. The major didn't like falling in that oil at all. If you weren't one of the best mechanics on the field, I'd put you right back into KP.
I tried to warn him,
Ah,
Sarge.
shut up! One more like that and you're gonna be in real trouble.
But, Sarge...
You understand?
Yes, Sarge. Hey, Sarge.
Yeah, what is it?
Boy, we certainly dusted them off yesterday, huh?
Yeah, the boys did it all right. How many was it?
42 shot down. Boy, that must have been a battle. You know, I wonder what it's like to be up there with hot steel smacking at you from all directions. Someday I'm gonna...
You're gonna what? You're a grease monkey, R.D., remember?
Yeah, but you can't shoot a guy for dreaming.
No, but I can put you on KP for dreaming. Finish that job on that bad flipper. Finish it, I said.
Just about through. Then we'll be all set to give them Krauts another round of hell in high water.
Don't be too sure they won't pay us a return visit.
Oh, after what happened yesterday? Nah, they haven't got enough planes.
How do you know? Say, aren't you through with that flipper yet?
Yeah, all through. Well, come on, let's take a look at that Mustang on the runway. Then the boys will wheel out the rest.
You mean the one with the bump throttle?
Yeah, Lieutenant Crane's job.
Yeah, that's the one. Come on. All right, R.D. Climb in and take a good look at it. But remember, no fooling around.
Okay, Sarge. Give me a hand, will you?
Here you go.
There we are.
Well, how's it look?
Give me that wrench.
There you go.
Thanks. There. That does it.
You sure? That plane don't leave the field today unless it's in top shape.
Sure, I'm sure. Look.
R.D. Shut it off before you take off!
I'm cutting it off! Gosh, Sarge, I'm sorry. I didn't think.
You didn't think. You didn't think. When do you ever think? Get out of that plane, R.D. Get out of that plane!
Sure, Sarge. Now, listen. Let me explain. It's
That's
just...
the last straw, R.D. Now you are going to go on KP.
Oh, Sarge.
Shut up! We got work to do. All right, you grease monkeys. Wheel those Mustangs out.
Okay, Sarge.
Watch the runways, Joe. Come on, R.D., give me a hand.
Sure, Sarge. Here you go.
Okay, now. Check the runway, R.D. And for Pete's sake, watch what you're doing.
Sarge! Look! Messerschmitts! Messerschmitt! Get out of that plane, Sarge!
Hey, come on, man.
You're right, the Major, Sarge!
Look out! Look out, you fool!
Sarge! You're hit! Come on, you gotta get out of that plane. It's burning.
Sure I'm hit. I can make it, kid.
Here, lean on me.
Okay. There.
Put your arm around my shoulder, Sarge.
Okay. Take cover, Daniel. Take cover.
They're coming back, Sarge. Come on, we'll head for that bomb crater over there.
It's too far, kid. We'll never make it. We'll never make it, kid.
You dirty, lousy crooks! Hang on, Sarge. We're getting there. Keep going. Keep going.
The task of getting the wounded sergeant to the bomb crater involved 5 minutes of cool, calm work on R.D.'s part. And all the while, Messerschmitts roared over the field, their machine guns blazing, bullets kicking up dirt and snow, metal screaming through the air. But the little Missouri grease monkey, oblivious to the danger, dragged his wounded sergeant safely to cover. And even then, he wasn't through being a hero.
Take it easy, Sarge. You'll be all right.
Of all the pig-headed, stubborn fools, you took an awful chance out there, R.D.
But you're my pal, Hey, hear that?
Yeah, somebody's out there.
Yeah, let me take a look. Hey, it's Joe.
Joe?
Sit tight, Sarge. I'll be back.
Hey, R.D. Come back here. Come back, you fool. Come back.
The officers and the enlisted men watching R.D. thought he was crazy. They yelled warnings for him to get back to cover. But the grease monkey's ears seemed to be strained for other sounds. And as we watched him out there...
He's making it.
Come on.
Come on, boy.
Let's do it.
Come on. Come on, you crazy grease monkey. Come on, kid. Come on.
Can you make it?
Sure, my
I know. Just a little more, Joe. Hey, Sarge, can you give me a hand?
Yeah, sure. Push him toward me.
Yeah. In you go, Joe.
Yes, the sergeant and Joe both made it. Thanks to R.D., the grease monkey from Pleasant Hill, Missouri. The funny little guy who was always getting into trouble. But the night after the raid, it was a different story.
I tell you, gentlemen, what that boy did today is the highest example of courage I've ever witnessed.
I certainly had that guy all wrong. He's okay. Well, say, Major, how are Joe and the Sarge coming along?
Oh, fine, Captain, fine. Hey, where is this R.D., this grease monkey? Seems that I met him before somewhere.
You have, Major. He's the guy who spilled the oil.
Oh, him? Of course. Of course, the oil. I seem to recall falling into it. Say, where is our hero? Let's go get him.
Well, what are we waiting for? Come on.
The major, the captain, and the lieutenant met R.D. coming out of the hospital where he had called on Joe and the Sarge.
Marvelous piece of work today, R.D. Splendid. Splendid.
Thank you, sir.
You were right in there, R.D. Put her there, son.
Tell me, R.D., what is your name anyway?
Well, folks back home, sir, have been calling me R.D. ever since I could remember.
What's the matter, R.D.? Have you got one of those first names?
Well, Captain, it's Royal.
Well, Royal!
Well, son, from now on, you're royal around here. You understand?
Royal my foot. He's R.D. to me. Just R.D. The best damn grease monkey in the business.
You have just heard Walter Cronkite's heartwarming story of the Grease Monkey, the saga of a hero who never flew a plane. Cronkite, like other United Press correspondents, was on the scene of battle, ready to tell the world what happened. His story about the grease monkey is just another example of the on-the-spot alertness of the men of UP, the soldiers of the press. So look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. Listen for United Press dispatches on your radio. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news.
Soldiers of the press. Bravest men in the army.
For unexcelled bravery in the face of enemy fire, for courage and daring that has inspired men of all ranks of the 2nd Armored Division, for being the first men of an invading army to cross the German Rhine in 140 years, I award to the captain and to each of his men the Silver Star.
What the old man means, Mrs. Stringer, is that they're the bravest damn men in the army.
As I, Anne Stringer of the United Press, stood there with the colonel, 15 bearded, sodden, and grimy men stepped forward to receive their awards from Brigadier General T.D. White, commander of the 2nd Armored Division. It was bitter cold, and rain streamed down their mud-flecked faces.
Look at those guys, will you?
Fidgeting like schoolboys.
Can you imagine their being nervous now after what they've been through? Crossing the Adolf Hitler Bridge, perfect targets against a raging fire, the Germans throwing everything at them,
And the whole bridge, mind, and ready to go off at any moment.
Exactly. Would you like to meet these men, Mrs. Stringer?
Oh, what do you think?
All right. Captain.
Yes, sir.
Well, Captain, have you got a minute? Somebody here would like to meet you. Or should it be the other way around?
Oh, the other way around. But definitely.
Well, here's your man, Mrs. Stringer, the guy who led the patrol across the bridge. Captain, this is Anne Stringer of UP.
How do you do, Captain?
Glad to meet you, Mrs. Stringer. Gosh, boy's getting almost civilized.
Captain, I'd like to hear the full story of that crossing.
Sure thing, Mrs. Stringer.
From the beginning, please, Captain.
Well, first the orders came down from the command post.
And you kind of had a feeling it was something big, didn't you?
Yeah, I had an idea it'd be something tough.
Well, that certainly wasn't any idle hunch.
No, ma'am, but as I was saying, the orders came down. It was just afternoon then. I got my patrol together, and we hustled off to the post for briefing.
Gentlemen, you are about to cross the Rhine. Captain, tonight you will take your patrol to the Adolf Hitler Bridge at Urdingen.
Yes, sir.
At approximately 10:30, you will start up the ramp and work your way across the bridge.
Any specific objective, sir?
We want to find out how heavily the bridge is mined, how heavily the bridge is guarded.
I understand, sir.
Now, Captain, you're to cut every demolition rigging you find. And, of course, kill every Jerry you can.
We'll get him.
All right. Here are your maps, Captain. That bridge is 1,400 feet long. I don't need to tell you that every foot is dangerous. It's mined, ready to blow up at any moment. And the Germans are raking it with fire. So, good luck, men, and Godspeed. They'll need it.
Afternoon, Mrs. Stringer, we studied those maps. The men knew their lives could depend on how well they knew them. Then about 9:30, we started out. It was dark as pitch, and sniper fire was cutting the grass in front of us. Spread out, men. Take cover.
They spotted us, Captain.
Get next to those buildings. Work your way along, and when we get close enough, we'll make a break for it. All right, men, run.
Come on, you guys.
Come on.
We made it, Captain. No one hit. But, boy, those Jerry's really got us Z-eyed.
Yeah, we made it. Now all we gotta do is get across the bridge.
about 10:25 then, Mrs. Stringer. Our artillery was giving us hot support, but Jerry Guns had set a terrific fire in a house just behind the bridge.
And the fire made you a perfect target, eh?
Like ducks in a shooting gallery. And you should have heard the shells whistling around our ears. All right, men, get going up the ramp, now.
Come on, Charlie, let's go.
Down, men, down, every one of you. We gotta figure out something. They'll mow us down.
Hey, Captain, I got an idea.
Good, we could use one now.
Why can't we duck over the side of the ramp and catwalk along that railing?
Yeah, we stick our feet in the palings and work our way across. I'll go first. Come on, men.
All right, men, come on. But watch your step. It's a 75-foot drop, and those cobblestones are mighty hard.
Hold your men, Sergeant.
What's the trouble, Captain?
No trouble. Much. These damn palings end with a ramp.
Uh-oh. Now we'll have to get right out on that bridge.
All right, men, I'll take Brown, Notowitz, McQuinn, Ross, and Miller. Sergeant, you take the rest.
Yes, sir.
I'll take my men and go across to the far railing. You take yours and go along on this side. And watch for those wires. All right, get started, men.
Hey, Captain, do you think they'll blow this bridge tonight?
No, Sergeant. Jerry wouldn't do that to us. Not much. Privately, Mrs. Stringer, I had the same kind of feeling the sergeant had. I kept thinking they'd blow that bridge the minute we stepped on it. But the only thing that mattered when we hit the roadway was...
Jack, mortars. Boy, listen to that shrapnel. Hey, that stuff may not have our names on it, but it sure got our initials anyway.
Flopping them right down in the middle of this thing.
That boy is walking down to meet us.
Boy, Hitler won't be very proud of his bridge when that crowd gets through with it.
Keep moving, men.
Hey, Captain, look here.
What is it?
Wires. Demolition.
Well, cut them. No, like this.
Captain, they're blowing us up.
No, it's just mortar fire. You know, Mrs. Stringer, cutting those first wires was like the kickoff at a football game. From then on, I wasn't quite so scared. I was too busy thinking about the job I had to do.
And you found other riggings?
Oh, yes, we kept cutting them every few yards. Those heinies really had that bridge wired, as we had reason to learn not so much later. But we found more than just wires.
Captain, can you come here a minute?
Coming right up. Sergeant, you okay?
I'm okay. Here, right here. Take a look.
Thermite. The thermite bomb.
Yeah, what do we do with it? Throw it over?
I'd have it go off and hit when it hits the water. That'd really give the jury the tip-off. No, we gotta pull the fuse. Give me your pliers, Sergeant.
Yeah, here they are, Captain. But for God's sakes, take it easy. That thing may go off right in your face.
There. There, I think I got it. Yeah, that's it. Here you are, Sergeant. Throw it in the river. Can't hurt anybody now. We moved a lot more cautiously after that, feeling our way across like blind men. Then, when we were about 3/4 of the way...
Hey, Captain, look, up there, up ahead
the bridge on fire, Captain. They're blowing the bridge, Captain. They're blowing it.
Easy, take it easy. Nothing to worry about. It's just a fire set by those mortar shells. Relax.
But, Captain, what are the flames spread to that Heine dynamite?
Hey, look at that fire spread, Captain. What about it?
Yeah, well, we'll be trapped. Fire at this end, fire at the other end, and us in the middle.
Don't worry about that fire back there. The one up ahead's the baby.
Yeah, look at that thing spread, boy. It's really getting hot.
Don't worry. This ain't half as hot as the place we're going.
But listen to that stuff burn.
Men, we're still about 50 feet from that fire. We gotta keep going. Get as close as possible. If there's an opening anywhere, we'll go through.
Come on, let's go. Come on, boy.
Those boys went on in, Mrs. Stringer, into a wall of fire. If there had been any openings, they would have found them. But as long as we couldn't get through on that end, my next move was to get the men off the bridge before the fire reached the dynamite, or we were trapped. They were the damn bravest men in the Army, Mrs. Stringer.
And you brought them all back?
Yeah, we were lucky. You know, we scarcely had reached our side of the river, not more than 5 or 10 minutes, when all of a sudden...
saw that bridge. 1,400 feet of twisted steel and powdered concrete, sticking grotesquely up out of the water. I looked across the forbidding cliffs on the other side of the Rhine. I thought what a bloody job it would be to reach them. But we know now that a bridge across the Rhine has been taken. Taken by other men just as brave as these, bravest men in the army.
You have just heard United Press correspondent Ann Stringer's gripping story of the men who crossed the Rhine. The story of the bravest men in the Army. Like Ann Stringer, hundreds of United Press correspondents are working in the smoke of battle on every fighting front and in the capitals of the free world, sending you the latest developments in the news. We will bring you another stirring story of these soldiers of the press soon. Be sure to listen, and listen for United Press news on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news. Soldiers of the press.
Victory in the West. The day was May 6, 1945. The time, afternoon. The place, the United Press offices in Paris, France. The man, Boyd Lewis, European news manager of the United Press. The action.
Hello?
That you, Lewis?
Oh, hello, Alan.
You've got exactly 15 minutes to meet me at Le Bourget Airport. Can you make it?
Right away. Don't tell me the war's over.
Never mind. You're going on an important out-of-town assignment. Shake a leg.
Okay. Oh, this is it. Say, Joe, stand by on a 24-hour alert until further notice. On my arrival at the airport, I ran into 15 other war correspondents representing various world press services, newspapers, and radio. Army officials hurriedly crowded us into a big Douglas C-47, and soon we were flying over the rooftops of Paris, heading east. The nature of our mission was soon disclosed when we were told to gather around an Army official in the waist of the speeding plane.
We are going on a mission to cover the signing of peace. Now, wait a minute. You represent the press of the world. This story is off the record until the respective heads of Allied governments announce the fact to the world. I therefore pledge each and every one of you, on your honor, not to communicate the results of this conference or the fact of its existence until it is released by Supreme Headquarters of the Allied Expeditionary Force. I reiterate, this story you are going to cover is top secret. By top secret, the Army man meant that the story was in the highest confidential category. None of the correspondents in the plane raised an objection to this pledge, although one was later to violate it. At any rate, our plane landed us Sunday afternoon at Rennes, the advanced headquarters of the Supreme Allied Commander, General Dwight D. Eisenhower. There, the Army man filled us in on what had transpired before our arrival.
All right, boys, here's the setup. Actual negotiations for the surrender of Germany began yesterday, Saturday, when Admiral Friedeberg and his aide arrived in Reims by plane. The German emissary was tired and depressed.
I have had little sleep during the past 10 days. I would like to wash up.
Orderly.
Yes, sir.
Escort the German emissaries to their billets.
Yes, sir. This way.
Admiral Friedeberg hummed softly while he bathed his face and hands. But his aide was nervous. They remained alone until 5:20 o'clock Saturday afternoon, when they were taken before Eisenhower's chief of staff, General Walter Smith.
What are your terms?
Unconditional surrender. All German forces to remain in their present positions. All German air and sea craft must remain at their present stations. The High Command of the German Army must guarantee to forward and enforce the execution of all orders of the Allied commands.
I beg of you, many Germans will be killed by the Russians unless they are permitted to surrender directly to the Allies in the West.
We are not prepared to discuss anything but simultaneous surrender to the Allies of the East and the West.
But the German people, think of the hardships they will suffer.
The German people are the enemies of the Allies until they surrender.
Go on.
After your surrender, the Allies will be guided by the dictates of humanity. Do you possess the proper credentials to negotiate for the German High Command?
No, I am not prepared.
Then you must forward immediately these two Allied proposals to your superior, Admiral Dönitz.
And the proposals?
First, that you be empowered to surrender all theaters. Or, second, that Admiral Dönitz send his Chief of Staff and Commander-in-Chief of the German Army, Navy, and Air Forces with the necessary authority.
It will take some time. You must realize that.
If the terms are not signed by midnight Sunday, the Allied lines will be closed 48 hours from that time.
48 hours.
The German emissary acted immediately. He dispatched a message to Dönitz by British courier through the confused northern lines. The next morning, Sunday, dawned full of portent, and the day dragged on with our afternoon arrival at Rennes. Having covered every phase of the European war for United Press, I could hardly contain myself while waiting for the German reply. It came precisely at 5:08 p.m. Sunday when a plane landed at the Rennes airport.
Permit me to introduce the new German emissary, Colonel General Gustav Jodl, Chief of Staff of the German High Command.
Yeah, this way. Jodl returned the salute stiffly and unsmilingly. Then he walked arrogantly to an American staff car, which sped him to General Eisenhower's headquarters in Rennes.
Before we begin negotiations, I wonder if I might...
Certainly. Orderly! American soldiers escorted General Jodl and his aide to the billet of the first German emissary, Admiral Friedeberg. The Admiral opened the door of his quarters, took one look at the grim-faced Jodl, and exclaimed,
Aha!
Dummkopf!
A few minutes later, Friedeberg emerged and requested a map of Europe. Jodl paced the floor. We correspondents were watching Jodl. He was the man of authority, the man empowered to lay Germany's surrender on the line. His first opportunity came at 6:15 p.m. Sunday, when he was received by Allied Generals Smith and Strong.
I cannot guarantee that my orders to the German army in the field will be carried out.
The refusal to sign means the Allies will resume operations against Germany.
Then I must telegraph Field Marshal Keitel of the alternative you present me.
Very well.
The American generals conferred with Jodl for 1 hour and 5 minutes, and then the door opened.
Send for the Russian representative, General Sushleparov.
Yes, sir.
Hurry!
Shortly after 9 o'clock that night, Sunday, the Germans retired to their billet. But the message to Keitel was on its way, with the Allied ultimatum, sign or face a resumption of hostilities. And the answer was not long in coming. It was around midnight.
Well, Jodl, what does it say? Do we sign or do we...
Keitel says we sign.
At 2 o'clock Monday morning, staff cars began to arrive at General Eisenhower's headquarters. We realized then that the last act of the drama was about to begin. Yes, about to begin in a schoolhouse in Rennes. The Germans, ironically, had used it as supreme headquarters during their occupation. And our own General Eisenhower made it his headquarters after moving from Versailles several months ago. And at 2:29 a.m., the first of the Allied representatives entered one of the classrooms. I recognized most of them, although an army man pointed out the major actors in this drama as they entered.
Over there is Lieutenant General Sir Frederick Morgan, standing next to General Savet.
Savet is signing for France, isn't he?
That's right. And General Sushleparov to the right is signing for the Russians.
Where is Eisenhower's representative, General Bedell Smith?
He'll be in shortly. By the way, did you know that General Eisenhower himself is here?
Think he'll show up?
Sure. He'll get in on the end of it, I bet.
Say, Alan, what time is it?
Let's see. 2:31. Uh-oh. Here comes General Smith.
Who is signing for the German side?
Colonel General Jodl.
Yeah. There are 4 copies to be signed. Here are the documents.
History in the making, happening before our eyes, marking the end of an era of terror and bloodletting. General Smith quickly affixed his signature for the British and Americans. Then he passed copies of the terms from the French General Sevet on his right to the Russian General Suslaparov on his left. The documents were then placed under the steely eyes of Jodl. The German, hesitating momentarily, seized the pen and scratched the word, Jodl, on the 4 documents, one after another. It was the end. The German leader, his age jumped up. Jodl glanced at the grim faces of the Allied leaders. He gripped the edge of his chair.
I would like to say a word. Herr General, with this signature, the German people, the German armed forces are, for better or worse, delivered into the victor's hands. In this war, which has lasted for more than 5 years, both have achieved and suffered more than perhaps any other people in the world. In this hour, I can only express the hope that the victors will treat them with generosity.
You will meet with me at 10 o'clock Monday morning to arrange for German liaison officers to carry out the surrender and disarmament orders.
Ja, Herr General.
We watched American officers march the Germans down the corridor to a room where General Eisenhower was waiting.
Herr General.
Do you understand the terms you are to carry out?
Yeah, we do. We will carry them out.
That is all.
Ja, Herr General.
The Germans retired to their billet with the death knell of Nazism ringing in their ears. Unconditional surrender. Unconditional surrender of all German armed forces on land, sea, and in the air. The most complete and resounding defeat in the history of the world. In the words of General of the Armies Eisenhower,
just a few minutes ago at this table, Germany surrendered unconditionally its forces on land and sea and in the air. Germany has been thoroughly whipped.
You have been listening to United Press correspondent Boyd Lewis and his dramatic eyewitness account of the unconditional surrender of the German armed forces at Reims, France, on Monday, May 7th, 1945. Other United Press correspondents the world over are prepared to bring you first-hand accounts of the great battle to come on the Pacific front. You will hear of these accounts when they happen in this series soon. Be sure to listen. Meanwhile, listen for United Press news on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news.
Soldiers of the press. This week, prisoner of war.
Hey, Beatty! Ed Beatty!
Coming!
Step on it, will you?
Why all the excitement?
Excitement? You work for the United Press, don't you?
No, I work for the United Press. Go on.
This is straight from the old man. Big doings up near Chaumont-sur-Marne.
No kidding. Well, what are we waiting for?
That's our most advanced outpost. You know, it might be risky.
Come on.
Right behind you, boy. Right behind you. Well, Beatty, this is where we get out. We're an open target in this Jeep.
Okay. Now, where is that story?
Look out! Look out, Germans!
Hit for the ditch.
Okay.
You all right?
I'm hit.
Hey, where?
It's my leg. Don't forget hit the bone, though.
Germans, here they come.
Beat it. You're okay. Beat it, will you?
Nothing doing, buddy. Cigarette?
Okay, thanks. This is a date I won't forget. September 12th, 1944.
You and me both. Get set.
You're
my prisoners. I'm a war correspondent. This man's hit.
Sergeant.
Yeah, Herr Hauptmann.
Take care of this man.
Zu Befehl, Herr Hauptmann.
What is your name?
Beatty. Edward Beatty, United Press.
Aha, war correspondent, huh? You'll come with me.
Good luck, John. And thanks for the big story.
Yeah. Sorry it worked out like this. See you in Berlin, Beatty. Hurry now. We haven't got all day. I have communicated your capture to Berlin, Mr. Beatty. They want to see you badly.
Well, what's holding us? We've been in this dugout for days.
Yes, your troops have us surrounded southwest of Epinal on the western approaches to the Vogesen.
That's fine. Let's stay then. I like this Vogesen mountain air. The scenery around Epinal isn't bad at all.
My men will fight it out to the death. You, Mr. Beatty, have an appointment in Berlin. We leave tonight. I can't believe it. They told us...
Told you what?
They told us Berlin was practically untouched. Look about you.
Yeah. Not a pretty sight, is it? You can scarcely recognize even the Unter den Linden. Not like it was before the war, is it?
Beautiful Unter den Linden. Now it's a mass of rubble.
You still think you Germans have a chance?
They are victims of our leadership.
You and your fellow officers sang a different tune last November.
But this is January 1945, Mr. Beatty.
Then you admit Germany's cause is lost.
I did not say that. Quiet. This is where you go.
Who are we calling on this time?
Hitler. You'll find out. Hitler.
You Germans don't sound very enthusiastic, Captain.
Hitler. Quiet. We go in here.
Huh? Says Dr. Paul Schmidt, head of press section.
Quiet. Herr Doctor, Mr. Edward Beatty of the United Press, prisoner of war.
Come in, Mr. Beatty. Come in. Wait outside, Herr Hauptmann.
Well, Herr Doctor. Hitler.
Hitler. Sit down, Mr. Beatty.
I'll stand if you don't mind.
As you wish. Now, I will get to the point. The Fuhrer has authorized me to pay you well to broadcast and write for us.
Listen, Doctor, I've been approached on that matter ever since my capture last September.
I know,
But you forget that I already have an employer, the United Press.
You forget, Mr. Beatty, that you are a prisoner of war. The Germans have dealt lenient with you for 5 months. Surely you must realize there are ways in which we can, shall we say, persuade you.
Not from the way the war's going for you Germans. My answer's the same. I have no information to offer, other than what the regulations require, my name and serial number.
The war is far from over, Mr. Beatty.
This is January 1945. Your country, battered by air and land, is waging a hopeless three-front war.
Well, perhaps we cannot drive the Anglo-Americans out of France, but they will never penetrate the fatherland. When the spring thaw comes, they will launch a mighty offensive against the Russians and roll up their last-ditch armies.
You haven't stopped them yet. But assuming you did, what will the Americans be doing in the meanwhile?
Once we crush the Russians, we will force England and America into a compromise peace. Now, don't you see why it is to your advantage to write for us?
Any more questions, Dr. Schmidt?
No. None for the present. Maybe you will change your mind. We Germans have a place for men like you who refuse to collaborate with the fatherland. Herr Hauptmann.
And where is that?
Herr Hauptmann, you have your orders. Interview is over, Mr. Beatty.
Where's he taking me?
Take me away, Herr Hauptmann.
Jawohl, Herr Doctor. This way, Mr. Beatty. Hitler.
Hitler.
Well, Captain?
You should not make the doctor angry.
I suppose not.
It is regrettable.
You sound as if we were going to a funeral.
It is possible. Worse things have happened at Luckenwald.
You mean the Luckenwald horror camp south of Berlin?
Horror for some, good for others. It all depends upon your conduct, Mr. Beatty.
It all depends on my conduct, eh? Luckenwald. This is the last stop.
Did you hear that, Mr. Beatty?
I heard it all right.
It has been 4 weeks, Mr. Beatty. 4 weeks. Now, all you have to do is to join our... Do you hear that, Mr. Beatty? It could happen to you.
All the money and dried sausage in the world won't make me right for you damn Nazis.
We will see, Mr. Beatty. We will see.
Mr. Beatty, are you awake? Mr. Beatty!
Yeah, what is it, Captain?
The Russians have broken through on the Eastern Front.
So that's what the noise is about.
Yes, all Eastern Germany is in chaos.
You're afraid, Captain, afraid.
No, we must stop them. We've got to stop them.
Not a chance. The Russians will be here any day, here at Luckenwald.
Cannon are getting closer, but we'll stand and fight for the Fuhrer.
Well, Commandant, you sent for me?
Yeah, there's not much time. The Germans are leaving Luckenwald.
What of us prisoners?
It is every man for himself now.
You're licked, Major. Didn't I tell you you're licked?
That remains to be seen.
Commandant, there's not much time.
I'm coming.
Yes, they're licked. If only there was some way I could reach the American lines. What a story to tell the world. What a story to tell the world.
You're Robert Vermillion, United Press?
Yes, sir.
You know of a United Press correspondent, Edward Beatty?
Yes, sir. He was taken by the Germans last September.
Well, our men have located Beatty in the German prison camp at Luckenwald.
Luckenwald?
Yes. The Russians have captured the camp. My orders are to furnish you with a jeep to ride from our western front to Luckenwald. You're to bring Beatty back to our American 9th Army line.
Oh, boy, what a relief. We were kind of afraid.
Well, you don't have to worry anymore. Better get ready. It's a 5-hour drive.
Is he really all right?
Yes. The Germans tried to bribe him to write for them, but Beatty just laughed. They even threatened him with rough treatment and hauled him to Berlin several times, but your man refused to play their game.
Good old Beatty.
He's a hell of a fine soldier, Vermillion. Now, you better run along.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for everything.
Don't mention it. I'll send a sergeant along with you.
Well, it won't be long now, Sergeant.
Nope, just around the corner. Hi!
Well, those Russians sure are friendly, huh? Hello!
You said it, boy, oh boy. Well, we're coming in now, Mr. Pavilion. Isn't that the camp?
Yeah, it looks like it. Just drive through the wire gate ahead.
Right. Hey, those are Yanks and Tommies. Look.
This is it, all right. Pull up here, Sergeant.
Yes.
Stay.
Hi, Mac. Hi. Hello. Now, wait a minute. Whoa.
Just a minute, fellas. Just a minute. Now, look, we can't take all of you back in this Jeep. It won't hold 10,000 men. But we promise you that other Yanks will be here soon to see that you get back to our line.
Just a minute, boys. Whoa. Look, I had orders to drive Bob Vermillion to the United Press here to pick up his pal, Edward Beatty.
Any of you boys know him?
Oh, thanks, boys. Thanks. Now, if you'll just push over and let Mr. Vermillion get through. Thanks. Come on, Vermillion.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, gee, it was good to see somebody. Bob Vermillion!
Ed Beatty.
Oh, man, am I glad to see you.
Oh, I'm glad I got here, boy. We'd almost given you up.
You don't have to yet, man, but I'm glad to see you. I've waited a hell of a long time.
My words of greeting to Edward Beatty brought him back to the English-speaking world for the first time since the Germans captured him in France last autumn. In his own words,
I've covered many wars, and this was the greatest of them all. Words cannot express my joy at being back, but even greater is the joy that the Nazi yoke has been lifted from the world.
Like Edward Beatty, Jr. and Robert Vermillion, United Press war correspondents are braving gunfire and hardships, death and capture to bring you eyewitness accounts from every battlefront. We will bring you another thrilling story of these soldiers of the press soon. Be sure to listen. And remember, listen to United Press News on the air. Look for United Press dispatches in your favorite newspaper. They are your guarantee of the world's best coverage of the world's biggest news.
That was the final part of the Soldiers of the Press. That is about it for this episode of Airchecks. The next week, we will have 7 hours of the adventures of Tin Tin from the Hurge comic books. Airchecks is a 3-hour podcast uploaded every Saturday and Sunday. See you on the same time and same channel.